Hello, good morning, and welcome to live third round coverage of the Female Pro Open at the 2019 Memorial Championship presented by Discraft. I am your host, Nate Doss, joined by four-time disc golf world champion Valerie Jenkins. Val, we're here at the Vista del Camino course. We're going to head straight up to the hole one preview here, and we're going to get a look and see what our lead card has to start off with.
Hole one, as you can see, it's a little different than previous years. This hole is 381 feet. It's 280 feet to actually clear the water, land on the grass here, water all around on the left-hand side. We've got the sidewalk on the right, and you'll see the basket. It's perched right on the edge of the water, so it makes putting really challenging, but it's all about the drive, I think, on this one. We want to see the ladies place their drives right in the middle of the fairway. And I think it's a great starting hole.
Yeah, and this is a birdie opportunity for our leader, Paige Pierce, just to start off the tournament with. And really, this is old hole 18 of this course. If you've watched this tournament in the years past, you'll notice that this is going to be hole one, which is old hole 18, and we have a new 18th hole, much more challenging. We'll talk much more about that when we get close. But we just have our chase card finishing up on the first hole, which means our leaders will be getting ready to tee off there on hole one. We are here at Vista del Camino. It's so different from Fountain Hills, where the players have played their first two rounds.
Yeah, Vista is completely different. I had to refresh my memory. It's been a couple years since I've played the Memorial, but Vista is so much more challenging, so much more technical. Just like Fountain Hills, there's OB everywhere, but now we have 6 par 4s out there. So there's a lot of distance throwing, but you have to be so accurate and be able to place your shots in the middle of the fairway. Hopefully not too many skips out of bounds.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's one of the reasons Paige Pierce has won this tournament 6 out of the 8 times she's competed in it, because Vista del Camino really does lay out well for her. And we should head over to that first tee here soon and see our ladies just getting ready. And there they are with the Disc Golf Pro Tour castle, as we will.
All right, you guys ready? It'll be Paige, Jessica, Evelina, and Missy. Thank you. Oh, quiet on the tee!
Quiet on the tee, Nate. Quiet on the tee. Here we go.
Hey!
Paige Pierce leading by 3 strokes over Jessica Weiss and Evelina Salonen.
And as we heard Paige Pierce yell 4, she is OB off of the tee.
Let this water get reset. Next on the tee, everyone welcome Jessica Lise.
I love the enthusiasm from the starter. We do have Jessica Weiss here on the tee in second place at even par.
Beautiful shot right outside circle 2 right there, but perfectly in the fairway.
Everyone welcome Evelina Salonen.
You had a great accent there. I think you pronounced her name perfectly.
Wow, and it looked like Evelina released that a little bit inside originally, but sliding up nicely for a birdie opportunity here on this first hole.
Missy Gannon!
And Missy doing the same thing, putting it just as you said, Valerie, just perfectly in the fairway. No real issues there. She is in the fairway, and we have 3 of 4 safe inbounds on hole 1. Let's take a look at the chase card here. We're going to see Maria throwing her up shot here on hole 1.
And that looks nice. As you can see, I forgot to mention the elevated basket that the ladies are throwing too. There's Zoe and Dyke throwing a nice upshot up there. And although Paige threw out of bounds, she crossed over the green, and you can see Katrina right here. I'm sure this is her drive. Crossed over the fairway, probably skipped in that dry grass out of bounds. So this is the side you want to err on. You need to cross over land. Unfortunately, Kat wasn't able to save her par there, but there's a lot of shots like that out here on this course. OB really close to the basket. So you're going to want to make sure you're running for the basket. And if you go OB, you still have a chance in saving par.
Yeah, absolutely. And as we come back here live to our lead card, we see Paige Pierce just marking her disc. This is where she went out of bounds, taking her meter, putting her mini down. She'll be throwing 3 from this position. And really, this is as we've talked about in the first 2 rounds, this is really a game. Paige Pierce plays this course so much different than the other players. The players need to just not worry about what Paige is doing and focus on their own game.
And you can see that skippy grass right there.
We see a spotter coming in, taking a quick look. We're not quite sure if that disc went out of bounds or not. It would be a huge misstep by Paige Pierce if she were to throw back-to-back out-of-bounds shots to start this round.
Yeah, when you see a disc skipping like that on the grass, I mean, it's just straight downhill off that edge into the water. You'd be very lucky if you can hang on.
Missy Gannon throwing 2. Just nestling it right up there for her easy par. With this pyramid basket, you want to get it close. Jessica doing the same. We're going to have Evelina with a birdie opportunity here. She took the more of an aggressive route, and Val, you and I were talking off camera about how really it's going to be interesting to see how Evelina plays this round.
She's got the distance. It's all about making sure those shots are accurate and in the fairway. And she's 1 for 1 so far.
And just a hair low there for Evelina on the first. You're going to see Paige just walking in here. And by the looks of it, she was definitely OB as well on that shot. And boy, big misstep by Paige here in the beginning of the round. What a tough stance for her. She needs to make this putt and move away from the water for a little bit.
That was a great putt. You can see she was balancing there on the edge. To do a straddle putt and to throw it high enough to hit the basket, you got to use a lot of leg power. So that was a great putt.
And this is more of a link style course. These players will work their way all the way about a mile down the park before turning around and playing all the holes coming back. And 18 will finish just across the water from here.
My name's Cody Britton, and it's a hot one out here, which is perfect because we're going to be talking about the heat. One of the great things about the heat is it gives any skill level player the ability to get it up to speed, to get tremendous amounts of glide. The rim fits well in anyone's hand. So one of the things that I love about this disc is how easily I can throw a consistent Anheuser. You can even use it to throw manicured shots through the woods. It's just an all-around phenomenal disc. Check out the heat for yourself today. You can pick. My name's Cody Britton, and it's a hot one out here, which is perfect because we're going to be talking about the heat.
And that's Cody Britton talking about that disc, the heat. But here's our leaderboard. Paige Pierce taking what looks like only a bogey on that first hole. So not sure if her disc was actually in bounds. It seems as if it maybe was. So big plus for her, but we have everybody else just taking a par on that first hole. All the way through down to Katrina Allen. So we'll head over to the second hole. Let's take a look at it from above.
From what Paige said when she stepped up to that lie, she said straight out. So I believe it was a 5 for Paige on that one. We are now on hole 2, 369 feet. Not much in the way until you get up closer to the basket. You've got a few trees to avoid, but this is a birdie opportunity for all these ladies. You want to get up close to the basket, give yourself a look, and get yourself a birdie.
Yeah, we just saw Jessica Weiss throw. Here's Evelina. Turning it over just a little bit too much. This is the start of 5 holes that head straight down this right side. It'd be the west side of the water, heading away from where the players started their round.
And this is a full power rip for players like Missy and myself. We'll see Paige, she might look like it's easy, but Paige just as well. She's going to throw a full power shot. Again, 369 feet.
Paige just hitting that last guardian tree there on the right, and this will be a consistent theme throughout this round, as we'll see Paige Pierce throwing just shots that the other groups aren't, or the other players aren't in the group. So we'll take a quick break while the players walk up the fairway, and we'll see you on the green.
So I just saw that they did adjust Paige's score on hole 1. She did get a 5. So now this leader card, they're all within 3 strokes. Paige Pierce is at -1. Jessica Weiss and Evelina are still tied. Missy Gannon right there at +1.
Yeah, and it was interesting yesterday. Paige Pierce wasn't even a factor until the back 9, and then all of a sudden she had a 3-stroke lead going into this third round. And we're going to head out to the course, and there we see Jessica Weiss just lining up. This was where her drive landed. Nestling it in there quite nicely. And again, these pars on these holes are going to be good.
Like I said, these holes are full distance shots for these ladies, so they're going to be pumped up trying to throw big distance shots while still being accurate. So as much as they can reach these holes, it's still difficult to get right under the basket in one.
Yeah, absolutely. With Evelina just laying up there, we're going to see Paige Pierce for a long attempt for birdie. I'm sure she'll be looking to make at least a run at it. And I saw Instagram post from Paige Pierce about a month ago already talking about anticipating the skip here at Vista del Camino, and we'll see a lot of that. These players trying to play the skip, playing a little bit further out to the right of these baskets, or left if it's a sidearm or a left-handed player, but really trying to work that skip. And there you go. That's exactly what Paige Pierce was looking for, just to come off of that bogey, getting a birdie on the very next hole. And we have our Zuka replay.
Look at that extension. I mean, her eyes are on the basket the entire time. Awesome putt by Paige.
Yeah, eye of the tiger. We have 3 just what will be pars for these other players. That's one thing that Paige Pierce started doing yesterday, is making longer putts. She started with a big putt on hole 10 out at Fountain Hills and keeping that momentum going after really what was a shaky first hole, getting that birdie here on hole 2. Other players, again, just getting pars.
Yeah, it's great to see Paige get that stroke back almost immediately after the first hole error. And we're headed over to hole 3, just like that. Here we are on hole 3. It's pretty much another wide open shot. You'll see this bushy tree on the right here. You got to go inside or above it. Drainage area is marked OB right there. And here is the basket, wide in the open. Looks to be elevated. There's no pyramid there, but it looks to be a higher basket.
Yeah, and we come out to the course, and this is our chase card. This is Katrina Allen. She's actually on hole 4 at this point, and we will see these players come to hole 4 here in not too long. Katrina just hitting the big pine that guards the 4th fairway. We see Paige Pierce just eyeing this hole up. Really, these holes 2, 3, and 4 are all very similar shots, big hyzers.
They are, and they're all high 300 feet holes. You got 369 feet, 360 feet, 380 feet, back to back to back. And when I asked Paige, I did a little post-round text interview with Paige, asking her if she preferred Fountain over Vista, and she loves Vista. She says a lot of the holes are right within her range. They're reachable. There's not a lot of women that can throw as far as Paige, so she does have an advantage with her distance out here at Vista.
Yeah, and that's great to hear. We see Maria here teeing off on hole 4, and the players back in the lead card are just waiting for them to clear this tee pad. I think a smart move at this point. This is going to be a little bit of a longer round than Vista, just time and walking distance-wise. But looks as if those players have cleared that tee, and Paige is just sort of refocusing herself for this tee shot.
Playing the skip like she wanted to. Paige throws a huge hyzer, lets the skip and the disc work for her.
Yeah, absolutely perfect. Bringing it around that OB concrete area, just inside that corner house. That corner house has been hit so many times, but not by Paige Pierce. Another birdie opportunity for her on hole 3. Jessica Weiss lining up with the sidearm approach.
Another big skip. Looks like she's just a little short, still inside the circle. She'll also have a run at a birdie here.
Evelina with the sidearm, see if she can avoid the post, and she skipped off of it, actually skipping off of the barriers of that concrete. It's sort of a drainage area, and that area is OB, so fortunate for her to skip through that, and she'll be able to have a birdie opportunity. Missy Gannon here on the tee.
Missy gets full flight out of that disc. Very nice throw, right in the center of the fairway.
Spike hyzer as far as you. I win every time.
You can hear in the background, or you can't hear in the background, but we just heard Missy giggling as she headed down the fairway, looking at Paige, saying, I wish I could throw a spike hyzer or a hyzer as far as you. She's working on it. She's on the lead card, so clearly she's got skills. Another distance thrower out there today, Katrina Allen. You can see how nicely she brought that hyzer in, putting downhill at the elevated basket.
Yeah, Katrina Allen living in Phoenix, Arizona for a few years, not residing there anymore, but she has experience on these courses and she is definitely a contender in this tournament still. We saw Maria landing just a little bit short, and this is an elevated basket just with the extended pole here. So a little bit of an added challenge. Good putt there by Katrina Allen.
Yeah, it's a funny basket. I don't know if it's just visually it messes you up. I don't know if I prefer the pyramid or just the tall pole basket. But trying to make it tricky every step of the way out here.
Yeah, it's definitely mind over matter with things like that. Ultimately, it doesn't matter, but it does mess with you visually.
It does. I mean, these ladies aren't as tall as the basket. They can't necessarily just drop it in. So you really have to decide whether if you want to park it on your upshot or give yourself a little distance so you don't have to do such a steep putt at these baskets.
Yeah, we haven't really talked about the weather just yet. It's about 55 degrees out here. Not a breath of wind at this really junction of the round. It's pretty really kind of bland conditions, and that's going to be a good thing for our competitors as they move their way down this outward 10 holes here. Beautiful birdie putt there by Jessica Weiss, taking advantage of that beautiful sidearm drive she had. Paige Pierce will now step in for her birdie opportunity as well.
Follows it up right behind Jessica, holding pace, holding that strong lead still. Now 2 over Jessica. Great birdie putts right there.
Yeah, I'm really excited to see the way this round is starting. Paige Pierce double bogeying the first hole, but coming back with 2 birdies. And Jessica Weiss taking that birdie on hole 3. So we're through 3 holes here, and we have even par for 3 of our competitors and 1 under par for Jessica Weiss. But yeah, just kind of, this is the way you would expect this round to start. These holes are all so similar, really not too much to do, and hopefully you can pick up a couple of birdies.
Right. And Evelina, she is on a par streak, same as Missy Gannon. So they're going to stay where they have started. Jessica and Paige getting those birdies, getting those scores down. And like I said, it's 6 par 4s out here today. So that brings the course par to 60. Last year, Paige shot a 6 down and a 5 down, 54 and 55. So that's huge. She's on pace at this moment, bringing herself back to even for the round.
Yeah, and she won the tournament last year by 11 strokes, and over, that seems like a lot, but each round was 2 strokes here and 3 strokes there. And, again, it just really shows how good Paige Pierce is on these courses. But I don't think the players are quite yet ready to let that happen. And we won't see the first par 4 until we get to the 6th hole. So these first 5 holes, all par 3s, all opportunities for birdies for these players. And the way that this course has really been designed is it's right there for the taking, but the OBs are just in weird places that the players can just, if they make a misstep, they can get into them. So it's about avoiding those out of bounds and really taking advantage of these birdieable holes.
Looks like Paige is ready to go. The group in front of them has cleared. Again, these holes are very close together, so everybody's right on top of each other.
Now, Val, we didn't see a hole preview on this one, but what is the distance of this hole?
Great job, Paige.
This one's actually really tricky. That was a great view. It's 381 feet. That OB wall by Black Ink Discs is all out of bounds. It's right at the circle's edge up there. So it's a reachable hole, but still plenty of OB opportunities really close to the basket.
Yeah, absolutely. And sometimes I think the wall is a good thing. They can see where the out of bounds is. Paige Pierce throwing a great drive. Jessica taking the inside route on that, not going around that big pine tree. I think actually a smart play for her. The big wide route is, just adds 50 feet to the hole. See how Evelina decides to throw it.
So much power behind that disc. She's flipping that one over once again. Hopefully she can dial in these shots a little bit more, placing her more into the center of the fairway, closer to the basket.
Missy Gannon also deciding to take that inside route, bringing that wall into play. And there's where the wall is a big advantage for her, staying inbounds. Good for Missy. As these players walk up the fairway, we will take a quick break, and then we'll come up to their next shots. And of course, big thanks to everybody who's behind the camera here, all of our cameramen and women and people that have been a part of this. It's been great to be a part of this. I know for me, Val, and I know for you as well. So we're excited about it. And thanks to the entire team bringing you this live coverage of the Memorial Championships down in Scottsdale, Arizona. And we will head sort of back to the course here, and we're going to see the players sort of mingling around here. You can see just on your right side there, Missy Gannon lining up. She was inbounds off of her tee shot. Really not much more than she could do. I think a layup was probably the smart shot there, and move on to the next hole. A perfect little pan over, and you can see the side hill that Evelina landed on. This was the side hill that Paige Pierce skipped off of. And again, not much more than a layup on this hole.
Here we go. Jessica Weiss outside this circle. She's lining it up. Let's see if she gives it a run here. And she does. That was a great run by Jessica. There's really no risk. I'm glad she went for that. You need to strike when you can, and she gave it a great birdie run.
Yeah, no risk, all reward there. Just narrowly missing it on the left side. Paige Pierce all the way on the green inside circle one for her birdie.
She knew immediately when it left her hand that it wasn't going to make it. Did not have the full extension on it.
It seemed quick as she stepped up and lined that one up, but she was confident, just missing on the left side. No harm, no foul, par. We're going to see 4 pars on this hole, and we will move over to the 5th after these ladies have all finished up, sort of quickly playing these first few holes, but we will see some backups as we head down this course, as the course does it so much more difficult as we move along. We will as we see Jessica tapping in here, take a look at the 5th hole.
So here we are, the 5th hole, 340 feet. You're going to see a mando tree, this pine tree on the right. You have to stay inside of it, so left-hand side. So it is a straight up the gut shot. 340 feet, still a full out drive for these ladies. Another elevated basket for you. That's like kind of a half and half. Like that's a mixture between the pyramid and the pole. So this is interesting.
Yeah, and this is a shot all the way up from the 6th tee. As we see the 3rd group playing that hole, we're going to, again, start to see things get a little bit bunched up here as we continue to move forward down this west side of Vista del Camino Park. And, you know, it is an elevated basket. This has been a traditional elevated basket for years and years and years. In fact, it's permanent. They have it chained to the ground. So the players that come and play here just every once in a while, they or every day for that matter, get to play this one elevated. So, you know, really when you play a course like this with it being so flat, these elevated baskets bring up a little bit of a, you know, something to think about.
It does. And I'm wondering if there's any players out there that have an elevated basket in their backyard just to practice for courses like this. You're seeing it more and more often. And here we go. We got Paige Pierce on the tee pad.
Yeah, one thing I really love that the tournament directors did here is adding that mandatory on that pine tree, forcing the players to go straight. Over years and years, we were able to just throw right around that big pine tree. But I like this change because it does force a little bit more of a technical throw.
And this is a challenging shot. I think for these ladies, they're trying to throw an understable disc at full power, allowing that disc to flip up. Doesn't look like Jessica was able to do that. Let's see what Evelina throws.
We hear a little whistle from the crowd. Evelina throwing an absolutely perfect drive on the 5th hole, giving herself a great look at birdie.
I've heard that whistle before. That was Paige Pierce whistling. I mean, she's such a great competitor, and she's always rooting for players on her card.
Yeah, we'll take a quick replay of Evelina's drive here. The replay provided by Zuka. And, you know, it's pretty cool to have this replay. And one thing you'll see here with Evelina's drive is she just kept it straight, bringing it just inside the pine tree.
Yep, and she did that perfect flip-up shot, turned it over to allow the disc to go full flight, and then at the end, it still had enough stability to come on back and skip toward the basket. That was very nice.
Yeah, I couldn't draw that one up any better. That was the way the hole was designed to be played, and Evelina taking advantage of that great shot.
So that Mando tree that you were just mentioning, you know, it's new to the scene within the last couple of years, but I remember when that was just a bush. I remember throwing into that thing, trying to get my distance around that tree so I can bring it in on a big hyzer. In my amateur days, I could not get around that thing, but now they've made it a Mando tree, so no question about it. You got to go inside.
Yeah, sort of dating ourselves there just a little bit. And you can see on your far right, we have Missy Gannon just lining that up. And you know, it's one of the things with them bringing in that mandatory, I like it because it really forced the players to commit to that straight shot. And if you don't, you end up on that left side.
Another run for Paige. Elevated basket, sometimes that's what happens. If you miss high, if you miss the basket, you're going 15, 20 feet past for your comeback. This elevated basket make it really risky to go for it.
And Jessica Weiss, who seemed to be a little bit further out than Paige there, but maybe they were just close, and you know, between each other they decided, okay, Paige can go first. But Paige is going to leave herself a testing putt here, and that's kind of the one thing about the elevated basket when it is so flat. You know, this course has so much quicker of greens because of the thinner grass. This course just doesn't get as much water as the lake course does at Fountain Hills. So tough putt here for Paige Pierce.
It's just like putting on a basket on a hill. You can be going back and forth and back and forth. And again, Paige Pierce is about 20 feet outside the basket.
Yeah, we're at a risk for a 4 putt here. But no, just a 3-putt there. Still a bogey for our leader, Paige Pierce, and a little bit of up and down play from her just to start on these first 5 holes.
When you're feeling confident in your putt, you're going to be running at those. And Paige was clearly confident in every putt she stepped up to on this hole. And unfortunately, it was the 4th one that went in. There we go. Tap and pars for the rest of the field while Paige Pierce takes a bogey.
Well, Evelina actually did birdie that hole.
Huh, she made it look too easy.
Yeah, we kind of skipped over that. What a great birdie there by Evelina on the 5th hole. We haven't seen those scores come in quite yet, but now Evelina will move to 1 under par, and we see that happening. We will start to hit these backups now as the ladies hit these longer holes. Hole 6 will be the first par 4 of the tournament, and we will just take a quick look at that. And here we go, Val. Hole 6.
Well, hole 6, there is OB surrounding the entire basket. The flight here is not showing exactly where I would go. I think a lot of these ladies are going to be playing a big skip hyzer off the tee, placing them in a good position to avoid these trees that we're passing here. Another big shot to the basket. It's 783 feet. Get you back to an elevated basket again, another basket on a pole. Like this hole wasn't hard enough.
Yeah, elevated baskets being the theme here, and we have a lot of opportunities for these players to throw different shots. Katrina Allen going to go with the roller. This is the highly aggressive play on this. She's now heading towards that OB, now turning away from it very quickly. Now heading towards the right side OB. And that's going to say just inbounds for her, going all the way from the left side of the fairway back to the right side.
And the roller is not a common throw or common shot that you see out of the leading ladies here. It is an old school throw choice. But on courses like this, where there is nothing on the ground, it makes perfect conditions for rolling. We might see Paige Pierce bust out a roller on this one. I know she's been practicing that, and it's such an interesting technique. What would you recommend? I mean, I don't throw rollers. What would you recommend to people out there wanting to try a roller?
Yeah, we've seen that, Nate Sexton really be one of the more proficient roller throwers on the men's side of things. We don't see a lot of rollers from our lady players at all. So nice to see Katrina Allen giving that the opportunity to roll. But, rollers out on this type of course can be difficult. It's hard to judge what it's going to do on this really thinned out grass. As we'll come back to the course here. This is our chase card, and we see Zoe Andyke, who was on our lead card yesterday, just lining up her second shot. And we'll see these players again trying to play these holes for pars, playing against par.
It's all about placement on that second shot. OB on the left and on the right. You just want to land in the middle, going for a nice straight shot. And if you have the opportunity and some airspace, you're going to throw a nice hyzer and place that hyzer right in the middle of the fairway.
Yeah, and while our Vista del Camino course doesn't have as many trees as, say, a Maple Hill or, a De La Viega, it's still a very technical. These trees just are placed perfectly in a way that does affect the players, doesn't it, Val?
It does. And yeah, like you said, there's not too many of them, but they will come into play, especially when we head across the road. And we see this one kind of coming into play for Maria here. She's really playing that skip, but it looks like it's really, she might be tight to that right side out of bounds, but I would say that's safe from where I've been before.
Yeah, she's in bounds, just barely. You can see just behind the players now is that wall. The OB line's probably a good 40 or 50 feet off of that wall. That's just Jennifer Allen there lining up what will be her second shot. We're going to go from the view from behind, which is, you can see, again, how technical this shot is, having to throw through those trees.
throw through the trees. She's riding the OB line on her shot, hoping it comes back inbounds and a huge skip, and it does. Jennifer Allen, we mentioned it before, new resident to Arizona, living in Gilbert, which is just a suburb out of Phoenix, really close to these courses. So she's been getting her practice in the off season. So I'm sure Jen is enjoying this.
I don't even know.
I'm not sure if she calls Vista her home course, but we'll have to find that out. But I know Jen's loving the warm weather here in Arizona in off season, and taking full advantage of it while she can.
Yeah, we talked a little bit about how she's enjoying the off season in the winter, but wait till the summer comes along. There's not too many opportunities to play in Phoenix, as that's the reason we're here in early March, mid 70s for our highs for these next 2 days, and come August it's 125 for the highs. So great to be here at this time of year. You can see this is where Katrina Allen's roller turned up, and by her taking that roller line, she's giving herself an opportunity to get to the green for a birdie chance. Of course, she's going to have to bring this OB into play that is just to her right, just beyond our camera shot here. So we'll see how Katrina Allen handles that.
I don't know these things. I don't have
I love this view, and if it were me, Val, I think I would try to take this straight line down the right side, looking like Kat was almost envisioning a turnover there. We'll see. She's just changing her disc now.
Again, Katrina is also a local resident. Spent many, many winter months in Arizona. I'm not sure where she's residing this year, but she's played these courses hundreds and hundreds of times, many league rounds out here. So I'm sure she's been in this position before, but she looks like she might be taking her time figuring out which risky shot she is going to go for with that tree right next to her.
Yeah, this is now the third disc she's chosen, and I was about to be very critical of that turnover line. I think she should be taking this hyzer line. There's just one tree. You can see right in the middle of your screen. She's going just around it right now.
She looked to see a little misstep on her footing placement there. Not sure how it turned out, but I think she should be safe.
Yeah, with Katrina, it's so hard to tell if it was a good shot or bad. She just sort of has that sort of very, flatline mentality as she's out there playing. So maybe we'll see once the scores come up how she did do on that shot. But I think that was the right shot for her. Just couldn't imagine throwing a big turnover there.
I would too.
And it is again par 4, nearly 800-foot hole. So 2 massive drives you have to have on this hole, or you got to save yourself with a big old putt.
Yeah, we'll see Zoe Andike. She's line 2, throwing 3. This is now her shot to the green. Still about, we can see the white stake there. I think she's going to be just about 200 feet out from the basket. And maybe a little bit more, actually. I think that is the 200-foot stick, is that white stick we see there. So maybe 250 feet out. She had to throw up over that tree.
Yeah, making it really risky. You have to make the choice to go over the trees or under the trees. Over the trees, you're risking flying out of bounds. Under the trees, you're risking skipping out of bounds. So it's all about picking that line. And with so much OB on either side and behind the basket, you just have to stick with your guns and stick with your game plan.
I had those last weekend. That's why I was
Players just relaxing on the tee pad. Here's Maria taking the nice big hyzer route. She had a lot of space there, no trees in her way, and it looks to be that she's putting. You're aiming for that big pine tree, which I think she landed right next to, which is still about 15, 20 feet from the basket, just in front of the basket.
Yeah, as you said, it's so important for these players with really not a lot in the fairways or near the greens to really shoot at, to find those markers and to try to hit those markers, because really trying to pick the distances out here with limited practice time can be difficult. And here we go. Our lead card is ready to play on this 6th hole. Evelina taking the tee box with the birdie from the 5th hole.
Again, really flipping that disc over. These could be different drivers at this point, but she's really getting over on those drivers. I know she wanted to throw that Anheuser line, and I think she got really great distance out of that.
Yeah, as long as she stayed short of that OB on the right side, she'll be just fine. Jessica Weiss going with the sidearm. A little bit flippy, landing a little too flat, not getting that extra skip.
And so I guess I take just a completely weird line, but if you see that tree that's kind of curved, I actually go on the right-hand side, try and skip it as far left as I can get it, but looks like everybody else is going on the left-hand side of the tree, playing that turnover shot. She's working them angles, but that does give you way more distance down the fairway. So really, that is a great play.
Paige Pierce taking that right side, and it's not as easy as done as it is said, I guess. And she was immediately not happy with that. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the chase card from holes 4 and 5, starting with Katrina Allen's second shot on the 4th, giving it a great run, hitting basket there. Zoe Andike from roughly the same distance, leaving it just a little bit short.
Maria also within distance to give it a little bit of a run there, but that's a nice par.
It's a little bit of an overcast day here for our 3rd round, and it can kind of be a little bit sleepy. It takes players a few minutes just to get their eyes sort of open and adjusted with the light colored grass and the sort of big white sky up there. So I think we'll see these players really start to pick it up. Of course, the course picks it up as well, getting so much more difficult as we head into the middle part of this course. And Zoe Andike on the 5th tee. Again, having to play those controlled shots. Zoe just not fully committed and ending up on the left side there.
And here goes Maria. We have a picture-in-picture. Look at this technology. Paige Pierce is lining up her second shot after hitting the tree off the tee pad.
Yeah, just trying to give us as much disc golf as we can. Paige taking just the huge high route, really just nothing more than a position shot for her there, Val.
Right, and we saw that. I think it is a 200-foot mark right there, maybe 300 feet, but Paige threw just past that. So that was a booming drive that she had to follow up the shorter drive off the tee.
Boy, and we saw Katrina Allen having the same problem on that 5th basket that Paige Pierce did. And boy, that elevated basket just getting a couple of our players here in the 3rd round.
And on that hole especially, it's a birdie hole. So these ladies, even if they're a little outside the circle, they were going for it. And sometimes you're going back and forth and putting a few times, especially because of that elevated basket. Jessica Weiss looks like she's stepping up next.
And actually, Missy Gannon is just, I guess, a little bit further from the basket. She is on this right side of the fairway.
There's low ceiling when you're on that right-hand side, and it looks like she found a nice path through the trees right in the middle of the fairway for her second shot. And Jessica Weiss throwing another sidearm.
Calling for it to get down, heading towards the OB, but landing just safe. I think she had enough control on that for the disc to not take a big skip. And I love watching the ladies play these courses and this course specifically. Evelina quickly lining up and throwing. But I love watching play these holes because we'll see the guys later just sort of booming past a lot of this stuff and trying to take it all out of play. But the ladies really have to play so much more technical, don't they?
They do. And Evelina's shot, where you might not have been able to see that, landed right in the middle of the fairway. Again, that right-hand side forces you to throw the low burner shot through the trees. It's really great to see how the sidearm, you can really take advantage of this hole especially. There's so many trees on that right-hand side, like I'm saying. But when you get up to the left-hand side of the fairway, there was so much air, there's so much space. So Jessica was able to take that to her advantage, throw a couple of nice sidearm hyzers. I know many times on this hole I've wanted to throw the anhyzer because I don't have a great sidearm like Jessica, but she really played this hole great so far.
Yeah, and Paige Pierce lying to here, throwing her third shot as she did hit early off the tee. Calling for it to sit, coming near that OB as it does pinch in right around this basket, just at the edge of circle one. We can really see how far that second shot of Paige Pierce was, as she's even with Missy, who was much further off the tee. Missy having a little bit of a better angle to throw a little bit of a nice hyzer, and she's done just that. What a beautiful shot by Missy Gannon.
She pins it, playing inside of that pine tree. That's really your aiming point. That's your last obstacle preventing you from getting close to the basket. So there's a choice that needs to be made here. And we'll see Evelina, she's lining up her shot. It's an in-between distance. Are you going to go inside or outside of that pine tree? And she goes inside.
Yeah, that was a bad shot by her. She was frustrated with it. You could see hands on the hips. Just, again, not fully committed to it as we look at the booth here. And, you know, it's one of those things when you have these shots, you talked about it yesterday, really, if you're going to be laying up a shot, you have to be fully committed to it. And so Evelina just didn't do that there, giving herself a long putt for par.
Right. And I'm looking at the map right here. And this is another one where the OB is on that circle one's edge right behind the basket. So just 30 feet behind the basket, circling it is out of bounds. So it makes this up shot really tricky. As much as you want to throw it way up there, it's still such a risky play. And there we go. Jessica Weiss circles the basket with another sidearm.
Yeah, and distance control is really one of the key things for these players as we go through the Vista del Camino course. Jessica playing 3 sidearms on that hole, making it look easy, doing exactly what she needs to do to stay really kind of in reach of Paige Pierce, who, you know, at this point hasn't really played consistent in this first round. And Jessica Weiss has, you know, 4 pars and 1 birdie. So Paige Pierce has a double bogey, a bogey, and 2 birdies. Evelina just laying that up, I guess. Or was it, what was that actually?
Let's call it a layup. She was just outside the circle there. I know she wanted to be closer, but running at these elevated baskets, we're going to say it a million times, I feel like, today. Paige Pierce inside the circle, inbounds. There we go. Paige just saved her par. That was a big putt, big turning point. And as we're going to see, we had a long walk. So whatever these players shot on this hole and whatever they've done in these first 6 holes, they're going to be thinking about on this big walk to hole 7.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. And really now we've seen 4, I think it's 4 or 5 of the baskets, or 4 of the baskets to this point have been elevated. So maybe these players are getting used to putting on elevated baskets. I know that in the past, hole 7 has been elevated as well. Evelina just tapping in her bogey there. She was the only bogey on the card. amongst other 3 other pars. So pretty good play for our players on this hole.
Exactly. Missy Gannon keeping up that par streak. Pars across the board through 6 holes. Let's take a look at that leaderboard. It's still a tight race. Nobody is running away with it, but at the top of the board is still Paige Pierce at a 2 down. Jessica Weiss not letting up at all. 1 stroke behind her. Evelina doing just the same, keeping that pressure on at even. And as I said, Missy Gannon shooting an even round today, so she's still at +1.
Yeah, and we can look at Missy Gannon's scorecard and see no color at all, which is not so bad. We've said many times, in the coverage so far, pars are good for these players. And I think that shows a lot about Missy Gannon's character at this point of the round. And she's feeling good, I think. And so we have this long walk. So we're going to have a little bit of a time to see us in the booth. We don't have the sheet anymore. We have the Disc Golf Pro Tour banner. No wrinkles in it this time, Val.
No, this is actually our backup bed sheets. We also have a Disc Golf Pro Tour bed sheet.
Yeah, so as the players do walk over to that 7th tee, we'll take a quick break and we'll come back to the booth and chat just a little bit about what we've seen so far.
Sounds good.
I can throw this disc around the world in 1 shot.
Never play disc golf too far into the jungle. There may be cheetahs.
Someone on your card can't recall if they threw a 6 or a 7. It was probably an 8.
See? Stay getting birdies, my friends.
And Simon Lizotte has done just that. He has been birdieing. He's only parred 6 holes in this tournament, but big thank you to all of our sponsors. And we are now back. And about this walk is part of the course. You have to walk this part, and then when you come back the other direction, you do sort of a similar walk. What are these players thinking about as they do take this walk between these holes?
Well, I know this is a good opportunity for a bathroom break. So some of these ladies are running up to find the restroom. It's few and far between. There's not a lot of trees to hide behind. But they're probably talking with each other. It's a long walk, and you usually find somebody to walk with along the way. So there might be a spectator or two. So they're trying to get in a few tips from the pros. But yeah, it's a long walk. We're headed to the other side of the park. You have to cross the road. We're still going to be along this canal. We've seen the water come into play. You're walking across this canal and heading to the back of the course. And this loop is so treacherous. I know when you get to the far end of the course, you said it's at least a mile away from where we started.
Yeah, we have the first tee being at roughly 1 mile away from the 10th basket and the 11th tees, which is at the end of this link style course. So much more walking here. At least it's fairly flat walking and all grass. We're not just chumbling over some rocks and things like that. But the second card has made their way to that 7th tee, and we see Katrina Allen on the tee. But very good point there, Val. Just talking with each other, trying to stay relaxed.
You can see the Mando tree right there. I don't think anybody's trying to go left of the tree, but Katrina took a really high route. You can see the spotter running over off to the left. There is a road OB when you get to the top of that hill, and it seems like she could be testing that as quickly as that spotter was running up the hill.
Yeah, the jacket is now off for Zoe after that long walk, playing it what looks perfectly right down the center of the fairway.
Great shot from Zoe. I was texting with Zoe last night, congratulated her on her solid play this weekend. She actually said she was heading to a chiropractor last night. She felt like she might have had a rib out of place or just felt like a knot, and it was hard for her to breathe. But we watched her play yesterday's morning round. She was on the lead card, but still right close up in the race at 5 over in total, right on that chase card. And they are stacked up on that chase card. So there's no letting up for them. They're right behind the leaders, and really fun to see everybody grouped up so tightly with their scores.
Yeah, absolutely. We always call the third round moving day, and we'll see how these players move. We haven't seen any movement in our top 4 just yet. We've seen those players in that chase card sort of bouncing around, going up and down, a
Changing
stroke here, a stroke
places.
there. Yeah. You know, it's interesting to hear about Zoe and that rib. You know, our players going through a lot. Again, this is a lot of disc golf for them early in the season when some of these players come from the northern states, don't have the opportunity to practice or play as much. So hopefully Zoe's doing okay. And at 1 over par, it seems like maybe she is doing okay.
Yeah, I think she's doing fine. She said there's nothing to worry about, but just a little adjustment to get her back on track. And I do know that Zoe has been playing a good amount in this off season. We mentioned yesterday, she's a teacher. She's actually the president of a nonprofit, and I'm actually part of this crew too. I'm the secretary of You Play Disc Golf. So she's heading to schools all across Oregon, teaching thousands of kids how to play the sport. And as you can see, Zoe's methodical play and the technique she uses, it's great to teach kids how to play. And she uses such simplistic, fun techniques. And I've seen her teach, and these kids are so excited to learn from Zoe. She's so energetic, so fun.
Yeah, so well said. And Zoe Andike, you know, really a favorite of the fans, of the players. Everybody loves to play with Zoe, and so we're so proud of her for bringing disc golf to the youth. And you know, she might be teaching a future Paige Pierce or a future Valerie Jenkins that we'll see on the course maybe in 10 or 15 years. So that's exciting, and thank you to Zoe for that. We have Maria here, and Maria just holding strong. She's 2 over par for this round. Throwing it down there nicely. And again, I think that this course just plays so well for these ladies as it brings in a lot of challenge. You know, we'll talk later in our coverage about how the men, you know, these are must-get holes and things like that. But I just can't say it enough. I love seeing the way that these women play these courses, and it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, it is. And this is actually my favorite hole of the entire course. It's a par 4, but I feel like I gotta get it. I gotta get a birdie on this one. It's 2 huge hyzer shots. Katrina Allen, she was at the bottom of the hill there with a big drive up to the basket. I want to see. It says she was on the fairway after 2 throws. I'm not sure where and what happened to make that spotter run so quickly. But again, I love this shot. If you can throw a couple 300-foot drives, you're putting for birdie on this. And as we've seen, Jennifer Allen can definitely throw a couple 300-foot plus shots.
Beautiful view there from our camera angle, and you can see if the players do finish to the left, it brings that road into play for their second shots. And you know, we'll see players doing that, you know, just ending up on the left side. That hill really protects them from going into the road off the tee, but they have to throw over that road on the second shot.
And you know what? It's a surprise, but I just saw another elevated basket on this hole. I mean,
well, yeah, and I was saying
they might
that,
as well all be elevated at this point.
Right. I think the Vista del Camino, we might as well just call this the elevated course to this point. Again, 5 of the 7 baskets we've seen so far have been elevated. This is a traditionally elevated basket, so no surprise there. But I guess somebody had a little bit of extra pole laying around, and
A good welder.
yeah, good welder, and so we've seen some elevated baskets here so far. And good little crowds following each group here. Great to see people coming out and enjoying the FPO. If you are in the Scottsdale area, you should get out there and watch some disc golf, and come watch the ladies play in the morning, go play some disc golf, and then come back and watch the men. So exciting here, the weekend of this first Disc Golf Pro Tour.
So you can see there was a little bit of sidewalk there, but that is it inbounds. It doesn't even play like a river that cuts right through the fairway. But there is that sidewalk you can see just beyond the basket over Maria's right-hand shoulder. So if you do throw your second shot long, you can risk going out of bounds.
Yeah, not much to say there. Maria unhappy with the way that she played that hole. And here's Katrina Allen, who was kind of tied up in the trees and just, again, having to play this hole for par. We'll see if Jennifer Allen put herself in position for what could be the lone birdie on this 7th hole.
Check out those shoes.
Well, no, check out these shirts we're wearing, the Disc Golf Pro Tour shirts. We finally did get some mail just yesterday. We've had so much snow here in Bend, Oregon. We got some mail, and we've got our Disc Golf Pro Tour shirts on. So, we're just still waiting here on the 7th hole. The players just jumping around, moving around. It's almost like a little bit of a restart, especially after waiting on 6's tee as well.
Yeah, and I mean, it's still a little bit early for us. I mean, all we had to do was roll out of bed, put some shirts on, but these players are waking up early. They have to get warmed up, eat some breakfast, get mentally ready to execute every shot on this course. And it's amazing what these athletes can do. And they're out there fighting for the win.
Yeah,
and Jennifer Allen here.
Yeah, and just as we come back here, we see Jennifer Allen. I don't think she had the proper putter in her hand, and we've seen Jen miss just a few putts as if she's gone down this early stretch of the 3rd round. Right before we came back on, Maria made a beautiful putt there to save her par, so avoiding disaster after that sort of semi-okay upshot. And Jennifer Allen getting her par. No problems there for her, getting used to the elevated baskets now.
And I'd love to pull up a whole preview on this hole if we could, so we can see the huge fairway that these ladies are playing on. There is so much out of bounds with the road, with the sidewalk.
Yeah, and we will get that whole preview pulled up here, and I think it is, like you said, it's one of your favorite holes. So here we go, hole 7.
And I hope this flies exactly how I want my disc to fly. You can see this light pole in the way, but off the tee, it's just a big crushing drive. Get yourself in a good placement. You don't want to be on this left-hand side. As you can see, these trees all lined up. Again, road up on top of that hill, sidewalk on the right. So it's really about accuracy with your distance shot. It's going to take 2 big drives. This last one with a little bit of hyzer angle, getting you to this elevated basket, and you want to be near that basket, around that circle, hopefully inside to make that putt. And you have a birdie opportunity on this one, and I think if executed perfectly, you can do that. But otherwise, it is still a big hole. It's, let's see, what's the distance here, Nate? It's 645 feet, so it's still a pretty far hole, par 4. Like
Yeah,
you said, par is good.
Here's where the fun begins. We've made the long walk, and now we get to play some fun holes where we might see some things go a little bit sideways. The middle part of this course is very difficult, and it must be mentioned, you see there in front of the tee pad, hole 7 is the Savage hole, sponsored by Savage Apparel, playing with 7 players, no subs. That's playing Savage and Ultimate. So we thank Savage for their support of the Disc Golf Pro Tour and of the Female Pro Open. We have Jessica Weiss here.
Great snap on that disc. She's on the left-hand side of the fairway, but I think she'll still have a great footing. She won't have those trees in her way. Next up is Missy Gannon. Let's see her cannon.
Yeah, and that was a beautiful shot by Missy Gannon, and maybe her nickname will become Missy Gannon as she builds her career in disc golf. Paige Pierce definitely has a cannon, and let's see how she handles this. She's going to pull back and go for it all.
And as you can see, she's tied up in those trees on the left-hand side. She's going to have a few options of either going Anheuser route over the road or sticking with the hyzer. Another cannon here. Evelina, audible snap on that throw. So much power and gets a huge skip forward, the landing right near where Paige did. Um, I just got to take note. These ladies with their technique, I mean, you can see everybody has a different throwing style, but it is so much about that arm speed and that power, and it is just raw power out of these top 4 ladies here, and that's what I love to see. I mean, when I'm teaching somebody how to play disc golf who's a new player, they really feel like they have to just finesse it, and so their arm speed is so slow, and they feel like they're throwing a Frisbee, but to play disc golf, to crush these drives, you have to put power behind it. And so I said, get mad, you get some anger behind it so that you can really whip it. And these ladies are not afraid to do that. And I think that's what gives them their distance out there.
Yeah, I mean, controlled anger, I guess. I've never really seen you get too mad out there, but we know exactly, I know exactly what you're talking about. Seen you get mad at me a few times here and
Oh,
there,
come
but
on.
but no, it's interesting here on the 7th hole. Again, our Savage hole, sponsored by Savage Ultimate. They all ended up to the left side. It seems like such a wide fairway, but is it just that I know it is for me, those pine trees just, they get into your mental space on that right side. So most of our players ending up on the left side.
Yeah, those trees do frame the tee box there, so you have to do a lower shot. You'll see Missy Gannon here. Now things open up. She's on the right side of the fairway, and there are no trees in her way. This is just a big, booming hyzer trying to get all the flight, and unfortunately, worm burner. She didn't take full advantage of the position that she was in on the fairway there.
Yeah, that was just a very poor shot from Missy Gannon. Really sort of an unforced error. No problems for her. Just throwing it low into the ground. She'd want that one back. And you can see this is a perfect view of when the ladies get caught up on the left side, how difficult and how those trees can really affect it. I think Paige Pierce might be far enough up to avoid that, but not our second place player here, Jessica Weiss, having to go with a sidearm up over the road. You can see all pars and just one birdie, playing really well. Flipping it up really nicely. That is a beautiful shot for Jessica Weiss, going to leave herself with a birdie opportunity on this 7th hole.
Wow. That was such a great perspective to see what she was actually looking at. We can see the trees she was aiming through, got it up high enough to go crest the hill and enough distance to carry to the basket. See Evelina, she skipped far enough to the left side. Pretty wide open shot right here. She flipped it enough.
She flipped it just way too much, hitting the tree on the right side. Evelina plays pretty quick. I feel like she just makes a decision and goes for it. And, that just seems like her style of play.
Yeah, and right there you can see the basket. It's right in front of you, and so it's so unfortunate to hit a tree. I know she had a good look at the basket, and so didn't take advantage of that. But Paige, she is in a tricky spot right here.
Yeah, what a beautiful camera view. You can see what she has to deal with. You can see that elevated basket there just in the background. And this is something that a lot of players should learn from. Go ahead and feel what feels best, make a decisive decision, and just go with it. Paige Pierce is doing that just right now.
And I was just reading a little bit. Paige has been doing some video work with Alyssa Van Landen, and this is exactly what she's been shooting. It's basically the eye of the pro player and seeing which shots they choose and how they execute them.
Not so bad, really. We saw the disc just come in there just inside circle one. Really, that was an interesting play from her. She's actually back at her lie, just still sort of, is that the right shot? But she'll have a look for birdie. Missy here just trying to recover after that really poor second shot, and she's done just nicely on that, putting herself in position for par.
The players are now walking up to their lies. We've got Paige still looking at a birdie run. Evelina's still looking at a birdie run. There's still opportunities. Missy is laying up for a par, keeping that par streak alive. This is still such close golf. I mean, these ladies are giving themselves an opportunity to still score on these holes. But when we get to the back next couple of holes, the water's coming back into play, and that'll make these scores a little bit more interesting, I bet.
Yeah, these players need to take advantage of what they have here. Evelina just laying it up, take her par, move forward, but water does come into play on the next 2 holes. There's water throughout this course. It doesn't come into play on every single hole, but as we get to the back, we will see a lot more of that.
Big putt for Jessica. That's a 25-footer at least. Great save there.
Well, that was no save. That was a birdie for Jessica Lise. I wouldn't call it a save at all. Putting the pressure on Paige Pierce.
Wow. With the pressure on, Paige Pierce follows that up with a birdie on the hole as well. That makes 2 birdies for Jessica. The rest par. She is at 2 under.
Jessica Lise and that is so unfortunate for Missy Gannon, who had parred all of the holes just a little bit high. I wouldn't really call that the basket's fault. That was just a little bit high out of her hand. Super unfortunate for Missy.
And when she's reaching down to pick up her disc after she already thinks she made the par putt. You hate that extra sound of chains as your disc trickles to the ground.
Yeah, we look at our top 10 leaderboard here, and no new names, just a little bit of shifting going on here as we look. And, we have some players at even par, players at 1 over, players at 2 over. We'll see. But the number we really need to look at there is Jessica Lise at 2 under par. And the players have a little bit of a walk up and around the lake to this water hole, hole number 8. And let's go ahead and take a look at that hole.
Oh, this hole is scary. You see the players on the tee pad right there. It's an elevated tee pad. There's water on the left. There's sidewalk on the right. And look at the course map here, because this is a better tell of what's going on. You're shooting across the water. It is 288 feet to clear it, and OB circling the whole thing. And I think right on this hole, the water's looking you in the face. You just know that you have to clear it. It looks like it's a calm day out there today. We just saw Jennifer Allen shot coming in, but when the wind picks up, this hole is so scary. We're going to see players like Jennifer Allen, Katrina Allen. They're going for this to pin this hole. They're crossing the water. Some other players actually play off to the right-hand side of the fairway. You can see that green grass. They're going for the layup, which I think is still very, very tricky.
Yeah, the layup can almost be more difficult than the go-for shot. Katrina taking a shot that a lot of the men's players take, which is up and over those pine trees. And I believe she got caught up in those pine trees, and she's still looking curious what happened. Nobody knows, and neither does she. We will find out as she moves down that fairway. But again, we can look at the lake. It's perfectly calm. No worries for these players. We can see Zoe Andike is going to go ahead here and play that layup shot that you were just alluding to.
Sticking to her game plan. You know she's practiced this shot. I'm excited to see how she executes it. Playing it really wide, hoping for a skip.
A little comment there. I don't think she liked where it ended up, but we will see how she does. Maria taking this shot over the water. I got to tell you, Val, with these conditions, this is the play that these players should be doing, but we'll see how Maria handles it.
Disappointed. Early release. Not enough power behind that. Again, it's a still. We see Katrina reading how to play this hole. I don't believe
let's listen in.
I don't believe the rules have changed. Let's read along with them. Lake, concrete, good night, gunite, and wash is OB. Sidewalks and beyond are OB. So we just saw Zoe. She went out of bounds off the tee pad. The tee is.
She never crossed. And Maria, you can re-tee or you can throw from the down there. Okay. Sorry, there's like. It's a good thing we read it, actually.
And as you could hear, our players making sure to check the rules on this. Very smart of them. You know, this is their job for most of these people. So understanding the rules of the holes is so important. And really, I think this is why I just find it very curious that Zoe would go so wide on that layup, but never coming in bounds, having to now, from what we understand, Zoe will be forced to re-tee. And this is just our chase card here on hole 8. So really backing up at this point. We're going to see at least 10 minutes before our leader card gets to play this hole.
Yeah, there's always a backup on this one. This hole is confusing. Players playing all sorts of shots. Zoe is re-teeing, throwing 3 from the tee pad.
She's playing the exact same shot. Now let's wait to see what she does.
From the look on her face, she was probably OB, is what I'm going to guess. We see some people moving in. Actually, the whole card is moving in, so maybe she was safe.
Yeah, we see some movement as those players move down this fairway. And, you know, now from what we understand, the way that Maria did play this hole, she was forced to re-tee as well. And we can just see it right there. Yeah, and there's still just some confusion. Again, it's so difficult for these players to understand the rules. And we see Maria now running all the way back as she has to go from where she was last inbounds.
So she was actually lining up from the drop zone. There is a drop zone. I think it's subsequent shots.
Okay, that's what I thought. Okay, you're good. Good stop.
You can hear the players explaining it. Still, it's a very confusing hole because there's so much out of bounds.
You threw hyzer. Did you go around the palm tree?
No, I think it was straight at it. So it was really like
You think that's about right, Kat?
I agree with that.
And what is this?
I would take it up top.
Up top, okay. Don't you think up top?
The group was trying to determine where Maria did last cross inbound. And she is going to be taking her mark down here at the edge of the lake. And she'll have to throw now her third shot from this position, throwing over the water again.
She really has to make sure she turns this disc over and really gets that distance dialed in.
Yeah, we just call it committing to the shot, and she's done just that, turning it beautifully, right in line, a little bit short, but she'll have a putt for bogey.
That's all you need to do. Just land it in bounds. It's scary there when you're on the edge of the water and you know your follow through could put you in the middle of that canal.
Yeah, and as we come here to the shot of Zoe Andike, she was just inbounds, taking her meter. Her disc was just on the edge, safe. She's now throwing 4 from this position. This is no easy shot here, Val.
Now you can see the gunite right there. She still has to cross over into where the island of the basket is on. She is safe. hits the trees, wasn't able to shoot underneath that low ceiling of those pine trees.
Yeah, and unfortunately, this is going to drop Zoe off of our top 10 leaderboard. She's just sort of really reeling at this point, hasn't made a good shot. She needs to just make a good shot and get off of this hole at this point. Now looking at a 6, which would be a triple bogey on this here par 3. You can see the players looking up, looking for Katrina Allen's disc, as she did take the over the top shot, but did not get all the way over the top.
It is a big shot to take, and Katrina does have the distance to do it. But as we can see, everybody's looking for the disc, calling in spectators, calling in pedestrians. Nobody's got an eye on it yet.
Yeah, one of the issues is that they have to verify that it is her disc and know exactly where it is and where to take that mark, as she would take the mark directly from underneath it. And, I guess how many licks does it take to get to the middle of a Tootsie Roll Pop? How many people does it take to determine a disc in the tree? We have about 15 people here. And boy, really just sort of screeching this round to a halt, this chase card playing hole 8, which is a difficult hole, but it doesn't seem to be this difficult.
But it can derail you. I mean, it's not very far of a hole, but with so much out of bounds. And as you're watching your card mates throw out of bounds, and we've got one up in the tree and throwing into the water, maybe losing your favorite driver, this can really change the feel of your group. And so we always see this happen on these holes, and I'm sure the leader card's not too far out and they're hearing all these conversations. So as they're gearing up to play this hole, I think this is just it's rough to watch. Have we spotted this disc yet?
And at this point, as Val said, have they spotted the disc? I think that they have. Again, they're just trying to determine where the disc is and where her mark will now be. This was a case that if they could not find it, Katrina would have had to re-tee on this hole. But now I think they've determined the location, as we do see Katrina now lining up her third shot, I believe. And we did confirm 2-meter rule is in effect here. And so she will be putting for bogey from that position.
Yeah, and as we said, it's a big shot off the tee that Katrina took, but it allows her to cross over land the whole way. When you take the over the water shot, you're not crossing land, and we saw where Maria had to take her shot from and throw over the water again. Here is Zoe.
Hitting the basket, and that was that good shot we needed Zoe to throw there. Unfortunately, that was her 5th throw of the round. And as we come back into the booth here, to me, hole 8 is a challenging hole, but really only when the wind is up. This is really sort of tough to see these players. It's going to be interesting to see how our lead card handles this 8th hole.
Like I said, when you see a lot of your card mates going out of bounds, you automatically tense up. And I think it affects every player on the card, even though you have your game plan and your strategy to, whether go over the water or lay up. When you see other people going out of bounds, it's just another reminder of how much OB is out there. And so, yeah, even if there's no wind, this course, or this hole especially, is no joke. It's nothing to take for granted. You have to execute your shot. You have to commit to that line.
Yeah, and as I said, absolutely bringing the round to a halt. We'll go out here. And one thing amongst all this conversation, Jennifer Allen did put it on the green, playing the hole as it's designed, and she's going to have a birdie putt here, just getting a little bit distracted by some of the fans and spectators and just pedestrians here in the park. But she's locked back in.
And as I said, as you watch your card mates struggle on the hole, she was there for her birdie putt. There was a lot of distractions, a lot going on. Maybe she wasn't able to focus on that putt as much as she would want to.
Yeah, and unfortunately, she needed to just make that putt and take advantage of it. But that's okay. It's a par for her. No big deal. But yeah, a little bit of troubles for the other players in this card.
Maria putting for a 4 there after going OB off the tee. This comeback putt. Whose disc is that? There we go. That's
going on right now. I'm so upset with what's going on. Not you. I was just trying to figure out what we were doing. Yeah, no.
So we're not actually sure what was going on there. It seems as if Maria may have thrown a provisional shot. Again, so much going on this 8th hole. At this point, I'm just happy that everybody is in the basket and we can go ahead and move on to our lead card playing this 8th hole. Boy, wow. I mean, a lot of words on that one. And our lead card will get into position here. Just a beautiful shot of some rocks here, just the desert of Arizona. I love these beautiful shots with the little bit of a cloud cover today, again, making it difficult to really, the cloud cover can make everything sort of blend in and distance is hard. But Jessica Weiss not having a problem with that. 2 under for the round. She has the low round going of the day as we just swing around to our lead card on hole 8. Yeah, and Jessica turning it over hard, not quite sure where she ended up on that drive. She was just a little bit confused, but if she did cross inbounds, she will be able to go up to the green. See somebody running by there. I didn't like that running form at all, but Paige Pierce, not worried about it, lining it up. I love the commitment. I love this shot for her, just asking it to slow down.
great shot by Paige. You can see she was trying to get into the zone there, trying to focus right before she teed off.
Evelina doing the same. She's turned over almost every shot today. This one's staying a little bit out to the left. Let's see if she can get lucky, and she does not. But our spotter is going to say that she did cross inbounds up there. And I got to tell you, Val, watching Paige Pierce throw that shot, that's exactly how these players should be playing it. And there's the reason why Paige is leading this tournament.
She set an example, and here's Missy Gannon hoping to follow suit, just like Paige.
I turned over. She turned over. Do you think she crossed grass up there? He's waving up here. So don't. What do you think? Did she cross grass or did she just cross those rocks? We should ask him. I don't know. It's pretty close into the middle of that culvert. So I think it's hard to say if it's so hard to say. You want to play provisional and then we'll ask him his opinion? Okay. You know? But if he gives you a spot down there, I'll take his word for it. Yeah, but from here, I don't know that. I would say provisional, and then we'll talk to him. I would just hate to lose my disc. Let's talk to him after.
And I think we just were be able to listen in on that conversation. Great camera work, getting in there tight, hearing the players. Jessica is going to go ahead and take a provisional. And remember, all of you players out there, tournament players, provisionals are not a bad thing at all. Jessica stepping up and throwing the sidearm. This is a beautiful shot for her, skipping it and parking the basket for what would be a 4 for her. At this point, just take the provisional, I guess, huh, Val?
Exactly. Yeah, you don't really have a good sight on whether the disc crosses over to where the basket is, or they're saying it might have just gone into the rocks there, and that would mean she'd never crossed inbounds. But it's so hard to see from the tee, so they're going to take the word from the spotter who was down by the basket. But this just adds to the confusion of this hole. I mean, every year that we play this, we just don't we just it's just so confusing. We never know how to play it because every shot and every situation is so different, and these players really need to know
We didn't want to yell.
to keep an eye on everybody's shot so they can make the correct call.
Rex tried.
Yeah, and we heard in our ear Johnny V saying, could she potentially abandon this disc and utilize that rule to her advantage? At this point, it really, it doesn't seem as if it would matter. If she did cross in, she might have a long look for par, but at this point, we'll see what the group decides. And Johnny, knowing those rules, maybe better than a lot of the players do. So, I've never thought of abandoning a disc, but it might be something that Jessica could take advantage of.
No disc left behind. No, I've never played that. I've never played that rule either.
Yeah, and we're just hearing in our ear that you always have the option to if you do throw out of bounds, you can always choose to throw from your previous lie. And at this point, Jessica could decide to do that. Unfortunately, they did call it a provisional, which means that they do have to determine some type of play at this point. And so that was Missy Gannon throwing her upshot. She was OB off of the tee.
But they did determine that she crossed inbounds right on that corner there. So there is just a little bit of land that you can cross over, even if you do turn the disc over as much as Missy did there.
Boy, and now really just we've been on this hole now for 20 minutes as commentators, seeing now two groups play, and really just man, what a tough 20 minutes it has been for our lead players. And right now, Paige Pierce is looking to take advantage of this situation. She is in close for her birdie look on this 8th hole.
Evelina went out of bounds off the tee, but she did cross inbounds, so she's taking her lie right here, but outside the circle for her par save. Just a little too far, but she's going to tap in for a bogey. And I'm not sure if she got that disc back either, that hurts.
Yeah, she needs her quick stick, sponsor of the Disc Golf Pro Tour, maybe to grab it. We have Missy Gannon here. This is for bogey. Solid putt for Missy. That's going to be back-to-back bogeys for her. Unfortunately, dropping a little bit down the leaderboard. Actually, when you look at it, she really hasn't moved places. She's just a little bit further from the lead. Paige Pierce for birdie. And of all the players that we've seen, these 8 players over this last 20 minutes, Paige Pierce taking advantage. Back-to-back birdies now.
Yeah, that was huge.
Now somewhat speechless there, and we're going to see these players now tapping in. Jessica, they must have determined that she did not cross inbounds, taking that shot there. She's going to take a bogey. We'll look at our leaderboard, top 10 leaderboard. Paige Pierce now extending her lead with that 2-stroke swing.
2-stroke swing against everybody else on her card. Everybody else, card's a bogey. Paige Pierce, solo birdie. That's just amazing. So she solidified herself at the top of the leaderboard still at a 4 under for the total, 1 under for the round. Tied with Jessica. She's at 1 under for the round.
Yeah, and let's move away from that 8th hole and now go over here and take a look at the 9th hole. Val, give us a look of what these players are going to be dealing with.
So this is actually the view from the men's tee pad. The women will be teeing from a different tee pad on the right-hand side of the fairway. We can't see it. We are hoping none of the ladies are taking this route, which would mean a huge, maybe sidearm from Jessica. So this isn't a great view of the whole preview for the ladies, but the hole is 324 feet, and it's another women's tee pad that I think, gives these ladies an opportunity to maybe recover after that last hole they played. But 4 feet, it's a reachable hole. But if we can get the viewpoint from behind the tee pad in just a few minutes, we'll see that it's a low ceiling. We've got the water on the left. We've got a sidewalk on the right. So it really tightens up the fairway there. But it's all about getting that distance. And I think these players are going to play that low laser shot, maybe a little bit out to the right so that they can skip under to the basket. And we'll see the basket is perched right next to the water. So you don't want to skip too much. So much control on this drive that these ladies have to do, but it's a birdie opportunity for all of them.
Wow, yeah, hole 9. Boy, that's a lot there on hole 9 for these ladies to think about coming off of hole 8. And really, this ends up being almost the most technical hole of the entire tournament with where they've put this tee. So many trees in the way. And as you said, the water is in play for these players. And right here, we're going to get over to the tee. And after some of this back and forth on these holes, these players are now ready to play almost immediately. So we might get some flow back into this round. But Paige Pierce feeling the good vibes with back-to-back birdies on holes 7 and 8. Now, Val, we have that view now that you were talking and alluding to. Paige Pierce throwing a beautiful drive.
That's the kind of shot you want to see on this hole.
Yeah, and boy, that overview didn't give us a great look of what these ladies are dealing with. But now with our live camera shot here, we can see that this is a very gettable hole for these players, but that water is definitely in play.
And the water is in play there. Jessica Weiss skips out of bounds, wasn't able to get her disc to flip up, did not hit the line she wanted to. It's another out of bounds for Jessica.
And here's Evelina now committing to that shot. A little bit low, but inbounds for her. No worries. And unfortunately, Jessica did go out of bounds and really, dealing with a couple of bad shots now here in a row.
Missy took the wider shot there, giving her more opportunity to skip next to the basket, but unfortunately caught a little bit of the green grass. That's rare out here, but caught a little green grass, didn't skip as much as she had wanted. Let's take a look at the chase card and see how they played this hole. There's Jennifer Allen right there. Lots of body language. She needs that disc to come on back. And it looks like she held that out a little bit to the right, out of bounds.
Yeah, absolutely. Just a little bit too much turn. Katrina asking it for it to lift. Probably just a par for her on this 9th hole. And this is Jennifer Allen for par. Long par look. Just hitting just low on the basket.
Actually, bogey. She went out of bounds.
Well, that was a par look as it was her 3rd shot. Here's Katrina for her par.
I was hoping to correct you one of these times. Dang it.
What a beautiful putt there by Katrina Allen for her par. And we are now back live. Come on, Val. You can't get me. I am so good with where these ladies are and what score they have. But maybe I will mess that up at some point. So
I want to talk about the change here. Traditionally, we would play from the men's tee pad, and how you would tee off basically places you where this women's tee is. And so I think it's a good change up that they did. It takes a stroke off the field. and allows the ladies to go for it rather than doing one boring placement shot and then actually.
Yeah, I think you said it perfectly there, Val, and we'll listen to Jessica. Just curious if this is her lie.
Is that a birdie bag in the water or a rock?
I hope it's a rock. We'll see. This is now Jessica for par. And unfortunately, that will be back-to-back bogeys for Jessica Weiss, our second place position player. She will still stay in second place, but potentially losing even more strokes to the lead. Evelina.
Putting for birdie from circle 2 in Kansas. Great momentum shift there. Let's get a replay because that was a heck of a putt.
Look at this thing, and this basket, this Chain Star Pro just catching it on the upper right side. Beautiful birdie for Evelina, and we come back quickly to Paige Pierce.
Cashing it, following it up with another birdie for Paige. 3 in a row.
Yeah, no question about it for Paige. That was dead center now, 3 in a row, moving to 5 under for the tournament, taking now what is seemingly like a commanding lead at 5 strokes ahead. We just have that to tap in for bogey there, moving Jessica Weiss to even par. We're going to bring the scores up here, and with that birdie by Evelina now at even par, tied with Jessica, a little bit of a shift here. Really things starting to spread out with our leader at 5 under.
Paige is full steam ahead at this point. The other ladies on the card, Evelina is clearly on point. But she's 5 strokes behind. So these ladies need to get back on track, keep that pressure on Paige. But so far, she's running with it.
Yeah, we played 9 holes. Let's take a quick break and we'll head over to the 10th tee. And we do thank all of the sponsors of the Disc Golf Pro Tour. And we will kind of come in and out here of some live action from our second card as they are now heading up the 10th fairway. And Val, we've played 9 holes. We've seen a lot happen. Is that just the way that Vista is, or is this just kind of what we would expect?
Oh, Vista is a rough one. I mean, we just saw Maria Oliva throwing a basic upshot and rolling about 50 feet on the other side of the fairway. So it's a really challenging course to play. There's so much OB, really difficult, lots of par fours. We talked about it. Yeah, this is just making for a really challenging day, but we're seeing the cream rise to the top. Paige Pierce says she loves this course, so she's proving it today.
Yeah, we just see Jennifer Allen here way to the right. This is not a place we see the players ending up a lot, and you can see that stand of pine trees on the left side of your screen there. And we'll move to Paige back on the tee. It
looks like she's lining up to throw, and she's ready to go.
Yeah, feeling the good vibes at this point. 3 birdies in the row. just nipping the tree, but getting through. A little bit of the leader love there for our leader, Paige Pierce.
She might have those trees in her way on the second shot, but this is a par four, as I mentioned. There's a lot of par fours out here. 651 feet. OB sidewalk on the left. Pine trees on the right are not out of bounds, but really forces you to play up the gut. Again, another low laser shot, and we see Evelina leaving it a little bit low, but it's a fine shot right in the middle of the fairway.
Yeah, Val, quickly, just explain to us how much that side hill does affect this with those pine trees really hanging over it.
Especially with a right-hand backhand thrower like Missy here. She gets great height on that disc, but she might end up now skipping a little bit too far to the left, and now you're in those trees right where Paige is. So it's really tricky. You have to figure out that you're executing the right height, riding that hillside, and you don't want to get too much of a skip. You really want to land at the bottom of that side hill so you have a nice, clean second shot. Now this is a challenging shot. Again, playing the side hill right here, but Jessica Weiss goes for the sidearm, which finishes her shot toward that side hill. She'll have a semi-difficult stance on that side hill for her second shot, but I bet she's throwing another sidearm from there.
Yeah, I think your bet is a good one at this point, and I love that shot from Jessica Weiss. And we just have to mention Katrina Allen now moving to 1 under par for the round. She is out in solo fourth at 2 over par. So we saw her play hole 8 badly, but really doing okay at this point with the second best round on the course.
Yeah, there's a lot of people struggling out there, probably finding OBs, but the cleaner golf that you can play, you can really move your way up that leaderboard, and we see Katrina doing just that.
Yeah, and really, if you look at the top 10 scoreboard as we're in the booth here while they're just walking up to their shots, really the worst score on the top 10 is 2 over par, best score being 2 under par. So really good sort of score separation here. The players that have played worse have just sort of dropped off there. So as you mentioned, cream rising to the top. And so we're back here with live action. Evelina was the shortest off of the tee, leaving herself well back, well over 350 feet to the basket. She's going for it. What a beautiful flight. Great look from the cameraman. Beautiful shot, and the crowd loved it too.
That was perfect. I mean, she had a straight shot right in front of her. She was able to turn it over just enough to really carry for the distance that she needed to recover after that first drive there.
Yeah, we could see on the other camera a little smirk from Evelina, just giving the good vibes, feeling that. Again, Evelina par for this round, tied for second. All is good for her at the moment. Paige Pierce also feeling good. And really our entire lead card here is doing just fine. Missy's, had a couple of bogeys in a row, putting her at 2 over par. But overall, I'm happy with the way that this group has played and performed in this sort of, spotlight position.
Yeah, Missy is holding strong. We haven't seen her on too many leader cards out of Cold Spring, New York, but I would guess we're going to hear her name more often. She's a very consistent player. We've seen her playing very strong, but it's always tough playing on these leader cards with names like Jessica Weiss and Paige Pierce. This is really putting the pressure on, and you're in the spotlight now, and I think Missy was doing really good, holding strong out there on the lead card.
Yeah, and if we go to the other camera view, we will see that Paige Pierce has some trees in her way. So a decision to make for Paige here on hole 10. Now, we still are heading away from the clubhouse. We still have about 400 feet until we get to that mile away from where we started. So we're having fun with it, though. Here's Paige Pierce.
Technical shot. You can see she got hung up on those pine trees up there. Yeah, with that hyzer line that she was trying to execute, just really difficult. I think if she executed it even perfectly, she still would have been short of the basket, left of the basket, but she was forced to do that shot, and that's about as good as you can get. She's gonna have an upshot at the basket now in the clear, away from those trees, and she'll be able to save her par, I believe, from there.
I think it is still going to be a tough par because those trees do come into play so much for her on this shot. But Jessica Weiss is going to be able to take the trees completely out of play, throwing a sidearm here. This is a big moment for Jessica Weiss.
Didn't really get enough air behind that. I know she had plenty of space to do so. Ends up short. Looks like she's still outside the circle. Didn't take full advantage of that great drive that she had.
Yeah, that seemed a little bit tentative to me from that position. And a player of her caliber, I would think inside the circle would have been what we would have seen there. But it is moving day here. It is the third round. Things are tightening up a little bit. Paige Pierce is going to be caught up in these right-hand trees. We might see a little touch sidearm from her. Let's see how she decides to play that one. But we are now with just 27 holes to play. Actually 26 and a half at this point.
Can we get the view behind Paige? This little sidearm is the play because she still has that low ceiling from the pine trees and that side hill. So sidearm is a great play on this to get her close to the basket.
Doing just that. And we're going to take a quick break here and we'll come right back to live action. And that was a perfect quick break as we come right back to Missy Gannon. Beautiful sidearm from Missy, and we do want to thank Keen for their support of the Disc Golf Pro Tour.
Yeah. Do you want to cut that audio, please?
Oh, and we missed what Missy was saying in our ear, but as the players move down the field, it's great to see players with all different types of shots. I'm glad that these ladies, although they're backhand throwers for the majority of time, that they can switch it up and throw a little sidearm when they need to. Or if you're sidearm throwing, throwing a little backhand like we see Jessica right here.
This is more of a putt for her. And, I would say that, and actually, I mentioned that was a big moment for her. And I really do. I think that was a big opportunity for Jessica to maybe put just a hair of pressure onto Paige, as we knew Paige was not going to birdie this hole. But it looks like it might just be a push on this one. And after that big crush from Evelina, surprising she was the furthest back off the tee, but having the closest look for birdie.
She gave it a run. I love to see birdies on this hole. It's so difficult to get your two drives so accurately down the middle of the fairway. I'm glad that Evelina gave us a look at a birdie right there. Here we've got Paige Pierce for par. Immediately disappointed with her release there.
And Paige now making her 5, which is a bogey on this hole, and really just solidifying the fact that was such a big moment for Jessica Weiss, who we could have seen a huge swing there, but just a one-stroke swing, as we do see. We will, when we see our leaderboard, we will see that Paige is now at 4 under par. These are just tap-ins for these ladies. Evelina taking a par on the 10th hole. Jessica Weiss doing the same. And Val, I only really mention this so importantly because when you have a player with a 5-stroke lead, how important is it every stroke to be able to get back?
Oh, every stroke matters. We were talking about it yesterday at Fountain Hills. Every stroke matters, and you never know what the player ahead of you is going to be doing. So you need to just go full steam ahead, moving day, like you said, and you just can't give a player like Paige Pierce a distance like that. She's going to get comfortable and she is not going to stop. So if you want to put the pressure on, you need to keep executing every shot in your game plan. So
Yeah, perfectly said. And the ladies do have a little bit of a walk. We've now made it to the end of our link style course. We're going to turn around and head back. And sometimes we would be talking about the wind here, but it doesn't seem too bad. Let's go over and take a look at that 11th hole. Val, walk us through this one.
I feel like we're on the home stretch now. That was the view from the men's tee pad, but we'll be flying over the women's tee pad. Maybe.
No, we just passed it.
We just passed it. They're flying quick. But the hole is still 543 feet. So it's a big booming shot. It's a par 4 for these ladies still. We have the OB sidewalk on the left. Up on top of that hill is another gunite rocky area. So OB completely surrounding both sides. So it's important to stay in the middle. But again, we have a side hill. So a lot of these hyzer shots from these backhanded throwers, they're going to be trying to throw a nice controlled height shot. Not too high. You might skip out of bounds, but not too low because you won't get that distance. Jessica Weiss, I think, has another good advantage by throwing a distance sidearm. So it's going to be exciting to see how these ladies crush it off the drive. That's the most important thing, putting yourself in a good position for an easy upshot.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're now just 2 hours and 1 minute into our round. We've only played 10 holes, looking at easily what will be a 4-hour round for these ladies. And yeah, you know, it is nice again that they have shortened this hole up a little bit, making a little bit more of a birdie opportunity for all of our players in this group. And you know, it's just, you know, looking at the scores, it's still, we've talked about it so much. I got to mention Rebecca Cox now moving to 1 under par for this third round. We've seen her just pop up that leaderboard as this round, this tournament has gone on.
Yeah, she's a great young player, and as at the leader card is a very young group, and we see Zoe Ann Geik showing off her putting skills. 2018 putting world champion, cashing a huge putt from outside the circle. Yeah, we need a
replay. I love this. I really want a replay of her running it in. She was skidding out a little bit, but there she goes, pulling in that putt. Great job by Zoe Ann Geik. And here is Jen Allen. And Jen has really had some putting woes ever since we saw her yesterday towards the end of that round, kind of sticking with that at this point.
That is the pitfall of her game. I know it really, it's so mental for Jen. Once she misses a few putts, she's really stressing about it, and that's all she's thinking about. So hopefully she can get back on track. I know she's been putting a lot of time in on the putting green. And was that a spit out?
Yeah, we're not sure exactly what happened there. And if we can take a look at what Katrina Allen, I believe that was for birdie. And so she will end up with a par on this 11th hole. And 543 feet back. We have the ladies on the tee pad, and they're going to be getting ready to tee off on this 11th hole. Katrina just tapping out what will be a par for her. Unfortunate. Yeah, that was really unfortunate to see that fall out for her. Katrina was just, you know, getting quite a few birdies in a row. That would have been 3 in a row for her.
Wow. Yeah. That sounded like a lot of chains, but yeah, to see something like that land on the ground and to see her body language, you know that it was such an unfortunate shot. She felt like she made it, I'm sure. So the coast is clear. Our leader card is stepping up to the tee. They're ready to go. It is a par 4, so We're all about this big drive on this shot.
Yeah, and really it's a short-ish par 4, and we'll get the view here from the fairway as Missy Gannon lines up her shot here. But with it is as being 400 or 543 feet, it seems like it's a very gettable hole for these players. And we're going to do just a little bit of radio call here. And oh, there we have our discs in the air. That's Missy Gannon.
Yeah, that's a great shot. She's on the left side of the fairway. She's safe. I mean, you do not want to have any errors like going out of bounds off the tee pad on a long hole like this.
Yeah, we now have Jessica Weiss with a backwards hat. We saw this yesterday from her, I think just on the last hole. As you can see it there, the backwards hat, bringing a little bit of that Cali swagger. Beautiful shot for Jessica, getting way up the fairway.
That was great. Yep, that's that sidearm line, taking advantage of the space she has on the left-hand side of the fairway and lining her up just at the bottom of that side hill.
And now we have our leader of the tournament, Paige Pierce.
Full flight,
Beautiful
full max
control.
distance. Yeah, Paige, it seems so effortless for Paige. She's like, yeah. I just got to throw a perfectly straight, almost 400-foot drive. Yeah. That was impressive. She made it look easy, but she dialed that in perfectly.
She really did. Let's take a quick break, and we'll come back and see how they can finish up on this 11th hole. Grip 6 belts, seeming like the best belt on the tour. I mean, look at those names of those players. We do thank them for their support of the Disc Golf Pro Tour. And I wanted to just take a quick second, maybe just a second, to mention how really controlled Missy Gannon seems as a player. Seems like control is really her thing. At just 2 over par, 2 bogeys on this round, but everything else is par. So what do you think about her really controlled, just real quickly?
Yeah, she's playing really steady golf and, playing on that leader card, nerves can come into play. And yeah, I've been really impressed as I watch her throw. And she goes on her second shot on hole 11.
Yeah, and it seems as if Missy Gannon, every time she steps up, she sort of knows within maybe a 15 or 20-foot circle of where that disc is going to land. I love seeing that type of control. And I love that with the women's game, we can see players like that still being able to take advantage and play well. It seems like in the men's game, we just see birdies and big throwers, but it's great to see a player like Missy having that control and really showing us knowing your game can still put you in a position to play well in these big tournaments.
And I'm checking out udisclive.com right now and just seeing Missy's round right here. We can see a little bit of these stats, and she's got a lot of check boxes in the scrambling section. So about 50% of the time she's hitting the fairway, but scrambling and saving those shots is giving her all those pars out on the course today.
Yeah, and I do believe, just to update our fans at home, that Paige Pierce threw a mid-range off of that tee, at 500 feet, at just over 500 feet. You'd think a big drive for her would be much closer than this, but putting herself in position, and she'll have a birdie putt there. Jessica was our furthest thrower off of the tee.
Yeah, I would have assumed she would have thrown a driver. It was tough to see from the camera angle, but playing for the safer shot, knowing her mid-range disc is going to fly nice and straight, not do a lot of skipping action. So I'm sure she's learned from experience from playing this tournament 8 times now. I think this is her 9th showing. So she knows what she's doing. Here's Jessica Weiss on her second shot.
I think 9 times out of 10, Jessica should put this within 10 feet, and she's done that. She will birdie this 11th hole. She needed that. That was big for her. Again, with Paige Pierce with a little bit of a longer putt for birdie on this 11th hole. putting it in close like that might put a little bit of pressure, and every stroke counts at this point. Again, with just 25 and a half holes left in our tournament, we're just playing the 11th hole of the third round.
It's rally time. Jessica's got her rally backwards hat on, and that was a great way to kickstart as we head through the home stretch on this back nine of the course.
And a little bit of a bigger crowd building, and we love to see this. And I'm always going to say it. I love playing in front of a crowd, and I know these ladies do as well. Gives them a little bit of a boost. We'll see Evelina. This is for birdie on this short par 4. Oh, and I used the word short, and she was just short. Good effort by Evelina on this. You see a beautiful angle here of Missy Gannon for her birdie putt.
Great birdie putt it was. And you can tell, I mean, just that little change up, shortening the tee, giving the women a shorter drive, giving them the opportunity for birdie. I think that this was a great change up. I'm glad that they shortened this hole. And yeah, I'm glad that Missy is taking advantage of it and smashing that birdie. Great putt from her.
Yeah, and we will see Paige Pierce here for birdie. And after this, we're going to see a little picture-in-picture commercial. We will keep our eye on the course, but this is Paige Pierce for birdie.
When the water's up and your discs are down, you need a quick stick. Grabs it easily, pulls it in instantly. There's nothing faster or easier than an in-zone quick stick.
No quick stick needed there for Jessica Weiss, getting the birdie on hole 11, gaining yet another stroke on Paige Pierce. Now 4 under par for Paige, now 1 under for Jessica. Just a 3-stroke lead with Evelina right there at par. Katrina Allen at 2 under, and I believe at 1 over. I believe she's still at 2 over. We haven't seen the scores changed from that fallout putt she did have on 11, but we're about to head over to hole 12. Super difficult hole here traditionally, not too much wind, so maybe the ladies will be able to take advantage of it. But let's take a look at hole 12, Val.
My, oh my, hole 12. As you can see, these ladies have to clear the water. This is a big shot. Another woman's tee on this one. We are at 282 feet at the elevated basket here. It is 252 feet to be exact to clear the water. But I think this is another great change up, another great women's tee that we're playing here. From the guys' tee, I know that it's just over 300 feet. So it's not too far behind this tee that these ladies are going to be playing. But in that shot, you can kind of see right off the tee, there's a bunch of these scraggly little trees. So it makes it really difficult from the men's tee to clear the water. You have to really execute a technical shot. The women's tee, like I said, is just under 300 feet. It's reachable for all these ladies, but that water, again, it's daunting. And especially when the wind picks up, it makes it extra scary. So
yeah, and
good change up here on the women's tee.
Yeah, it really does. And you're right. The men's tee is just a little bit further back. It's not really a distance thing. It's more of the trees in the way and allowing these women to get the right launch angle on their drive to put it up there for a birdie opportunity. Scoring update, Katrina Allen has now double bogeyed this 12th hole, as we're going to see our leaders come up to it soon here. But Rebecca Cox is through the 12th hole, still 2 under par for the round. And we can see Paige Pierce just sitting back and relaxing. But you can see that white tree there, the men play, they have to avoid that, but the ladies now don't have to. And just that launch angle is better.
Yes, and it is a launch. So where they're teeing from, you have to shoot upward. I mean, you're shooting at a basket that's elevated. I mean, it is an elevated basket, but you have to shoot uphill. So it's a nose up type of drive, especially from the farther tee pad. But you have to make sure that you clear that water, clear the gunite. It's a big rock wall that you have to clear, but if you're gonna err, you need to make sure that you're clearing over the grass.
Yeah, and I know we use that word gunite a lot, and us as players, we've been saying that for years. The gunite is something that is sort of this concrete slurry mix, and when your disc hit it, it just destroys them.
Oh,
So
it's nasty.
it's it's sort of a little bit of an extra bonus kick in the butt if you do hit it. And we will see these players play this hole here in just a few minutes. Another little bit of a baby backup, and just a baby backup. But got to call out Missy Gannon with the birdie there on the 11th hole, still hanging strong. And really, our 4 players are in the same position as they started, 1, 2, 3, and 4 for our lead card.
Yeah, it's looking like if they can keep it up, we'll be seeing the same card tomorrow. But we know Rebecca Cox is making a move, so she is right there. She's just 1 stroke behind Missy Gannon, tied for 5th with Katrina. Speaking of Missy Gannon, here she is on the tee with her cannon.
I think on this whole, Val, let's let these players just throw. We're not going to say anything as these 4 players play this tee shot. We want to hear what they have to say.
Right over your head, spotter. That's wide enough. Woo!
And we like to call that the live listen in, giving you the perspective of the fans that were right around that tee pad. And it's so great on these types of holes to hear what the players had to say.
Absolutely, Nate. Sometimes we got to take a little bit of breather, stop talking so much, and listen in to see what the players are doing and what they're saying as they're trying to execute this pretty difficult shot. I think all the ladies erred on the good side. Jessica Weiss, park job, rolled a little outside the basket, but everybody's safe, and that is the goal. If we want to date ourselves once again, I was playing this tournament back in my amateur days over 16 years ago. I'm only 20, so I don't know how the math works there, but I remember stepping up to this. I hadn't played much golf in the winter season. I had the craziest blister from playing so much disc golf so early. I hadn't developed the callus on my finger yet. And I was throwing with just my index finger and thumb on this hole. The wind was ripping at my face, and I think I threw 5 or 6, one after the other, into the water. Kerplunk, kerplunk. It was just the most awful thing. I mean, I didn't have this shorter tee pad to play from, and I wish I did, but these ladies executed the shot perfectly.
Yeah, Missy just laying it up there. Again, we have another elevated basket here. I think we're going to dub this the elevated course here at Vista del Camino. Paige Pierce quickly laying up as well. But yeah, this used to be the 18th hole of this course. We used to finish the tournament here, and I remember a young Nico LaCastro sliding into the basket, winning the tournament here. And so there's a lot of history here on this hole, and one of the signature holes of the Vista del Camino XL course.
Yes, this course has been changed. The layout of this course has changed up so much, but a lot of the original holes that we played back in the day have still remained the same. But like you said, things have been elevated. Here's an elevated basket for Evelina.
We saw 3 of the players lay that putt up, and Evelina going for it, just finishing short left. We're going to see 4 pars on this hole, on this 12th hole, and we're going to be ending up with a long walk back to the main part of the course, still heading back in, and we will have a chance to chat a little bit about what we've seen so far, just these tap-ins for these players. So we'll look here at our scoreboard through 12 holes. We can see everybody's through 12 holes at this point. Well, almost our entire top 10 leaderboard is through 12 holes. And so you can tell that there is a long walk there, maybe a backup on 13. But let's take a quick commercial break. We'll come back. We'll talk about these scores, and then we'll get some disc golf going back again. And thank you again to all of our sponsors of the Disc Golf Pro Tour. And Val, while we do have this second, I want to just ask you, do you see anything that we've seen so far that would indicate that really Paige Pierce has a chink in the armor, that we might see anything different from her? How do you think our leader, Paige Pierce, is doing up to this point?
I think she's holding strong. She's not playing the best golf out there, but her and Jessica are still 1 under for the round. Paige has such a great mental game so that regardless of missed putts or what, she can bounce right back. She can recover from that. And she just does a really good job on, you might see her sometimes take a step aside, regain that focus, and she's back into it. That is what has made her such a fierce competitor all these years. So she's got that experience behind her, and she's still in the lead right now. She's doing great.
Yeah, I feel like that bounce in Paige Pierce's step, it always seems when Paige is playing that she's just going and going and going. She makes her decisions so decisively, so quickly. It's great to see, as opposed to a Missy Gannon who doesn't have that experience, taking it a little bit slower. But I think you said it perfectly. Paige seems to be right where she wants to be. And, we just have
first place. That's where she wants to be.
Of course. But, with a 3-stroke lead, and we're going to now see some live disc golf. But just really quickly, we have 7 holes left to play here as we head in on this 3rd round. Jennifer Allen just making sure to clear the people out of where she's going to be throwing. But we do have 7 holes left in this 3rd round with a big finish coming, a new finish as we get closer to it. The players will be thinking about hole 18 and its new layout. This is Jennifer Allen on the 13th hole.
Looking at Jennifer's scorecard here, looks like she carded a snowman in 8 on hole 11. I'm sure she ran into some trouble there with the out of bounds. Recovered with a par on that last hole, but here we've got Maria Oliva.
Yeah, and that snowman is so unfortunate for a player like Jennifer Allen. That's going to drop her completely off of the top 10 leaderboard. We saw her miss a putt there as we were live looking in. So had quite an adventure on that one. We have Katrina Allen here just checking the wind. Katrina is now at par. We think she might actually be at 1 over for the round. We're not sure if that score has been quite adjusted properly, but here she is. the spotter there. Katrina is inbounds. Those players will move off of that and we'll come back to the booth. But
let's take a look at Rebecca Cox for a second. I mean, we see her name jumping up that leaderboard, and I'm checking out some stats. She's only hit the fairway 54% of the time, but it has been all about scrambling, 88% on scramble, but 100% Circle 1X putting. I mean, that makes all the difference right there. She's clearly confident in those putts. And the 1X, the C1X is a new stat on the UDisc Live website, and that excludes any tap-in putts. So that's 10 foot and under. So she has hit everything inside the circle from 10 feet to 33 feet.
right. And
So
you know,
that's really impressive.
it is. And well, those could have all been 11-foot putts, but we know they weren't. Rebecca is a good putter, and she's just flown up the scoreboard over these last 2 rounds. And we might eventually see her in our lead card tomorrow if this continues to trend the way that it's been trending. But time will only tell with that. But great bring in on the stats there. I really like that, Val. Nice
Well,
job.
why, thank you.
Yeah, of
it's
course.
really great to see. So yeah, if you guys are following along with this live coverage right now, pull up udislive.com and you can check out all the stats from all your players. You can see that Rebecca Cox is representing my home state. She's from Ohio, a Cincinnati girl, but she has been on tour. She was traveling around last season. We did see her name on the leaderboard. She did really great at Worlds last year. I know she was up there at Ledgestone as well. So it's really no surprise. She's just a new name out there, and she's making a stride early in the season this year.
Yeah, and another name that's just been kind of cruising up the leaderboard, and we haven't talked about her at all, but world champion Sarah Hokum is 1 under par through 13 holes, putting her in 7th place. Madison Walker 1 under through 14 holes. So she's in 8th place at 6 over par. So just a really nice leaderboard at this point. And just seeing Zoe Andike's name pop back up on that top 10 leaderboard. So good for Zoe getting through some of those early woes. We saw really back on hole 8 was no bueno for her. No bueno, I guess. I don't know where some of these words come from, honestly, Val, but I personally am having a ton of fun with this live coverage. I hope everybody at home is enjoying it as well. We appreciate you supporting the Disc Golf Pro Tour, supporting our players, supporting the game that we do all love. There's Jennifer Allen.
I mean, if I'm going to be stuck with somebody for 8 hours watching live disc golf, I guess you'd be the person I would choose, Nate. So thanks for being convenient. Thanks for living in the same house as me so that we could set up the studio here, watch disc golf together. And I'm glad that we're showcasing the ladies. It's amazing to see live coverage of the female players, incredible athletes. This has just been so much fun to watch, but we still have lots of golf ahead of us.
Yeah, and I think it really works out well. I mean, we know these courses like the back of our hands. And, the one nice thing about the tournament here at the Memorial Championship is that the courses really haven't changed too much. Maybe some nuances here and there, but these players, for the most part, have all had experience here. And so it's really just about executing the game plan.
Yep. If players like this, we see Jennifer Allen trying to get back into her game plan.
Val, real quickly, I mean, we see Jen missing that, and I don't mean to use Jen in this way, but what is it really when you start to have those thoughts of bad putting coming into your mind?
I think the best thing to do when you're putting is to have a blank mind. So once you start thinking, I think that's the biggest thing in your way. Let's check out Zoe's putting style. It's unfortunately a little high, a little right. But when you start to struggle around the basket, you just need to come back, simplify your game. All you have to do is reach for the basket, just like Maria did. And I like to put myself back in, on the putting green when I was preparing for the round that day, or what I was practicing in the backyard, and getting back to those simple things that I can think about to kind of clear my mind Get
Yeah.
it back to the basics.
Yeah, absolutely, and very well said there. We're gonna see another elevated basket here. The
What? Another one?
the elevated course here at Vista del Camino, and yeah, it is so difficult when you're not putting well and you're in a tournament and things for me would seemingly come crashing down. You'd always do your best to maybe not make that such a big deal, but it is so difficult when you want to uh, play so well and you just can't get it in the basket.
It's so frustrating. Yeah. Hate to see that. Hate to see our top players like that miss putts, and I think that just dropped Jen off our leaderboard there, but hopefully she can get back into it, get that putting stroke back. But here we are back with our lead card, hole 14. Excuse me, we are on hole 13, but as you can see, Missy, I don't believe it. She cleared the water at all, left her drive way wide, probably losing a driver here.
Yeah, and we wouldn't have expected that from a player like Missy. Here's Jessica going a little low, barely hitting the side of the hill and skipping up and inbounds. Hole 13 ends up being a little bit more difficult than you want it to be. All kinds of trees. There's a mandatory on the left side. The pin is elevated. It's only 15 feet from the water. So these players having to navigate this very difficult 13th hole.
Oh, I hate that scraggly tree. And then there's a sign right there. I mean, that is your aiming point. It is directly across the water. Thankfully, she cut right through it, and she is safe on that shot.
You're right. That scraggly tree has been scraggly for years. And for those people that haven't been to this tournament very much, this used to be the first hole, and actually it places the first hole if you were to travel to this area. Old hole 1.
Hit that hard and stop.
I think Paige might have been worried that she was going to hit the ground, skip, and miss the Mando, but she was able to just hit that tree. She called it, and she's right in the center of the fairway there. But we'll see Missy in a second. She's got to walk up straight, only 50 feet off of where the tee pad is because she did not clear the water. This is our view from where the basket is, so we can't see Missy. She's in the distance there. There she is. Basically re-teeing. I mean, you're only so far off the tee pad. She's got the same water looking her in the face.
Yeah, while she needs to take advantage of the distance that she's going to gain from this mark, this is a little bit of a side hill finish, so it could affect the way she throws this shot. Saw a little bit of a slip out with that back foot and hitting the sign, but staying inbounds. But I mean, we saw that slip of her back foot, and I think it was just because of that area where her mark was.
Yeah, fortunately it landed in bounds. That's safe to have. When you slip, you never know what your shot is actually going to do, but thankfully she followed through, hit that line, hit that sign, in bounds.
Yeah, hole 13 proving to be a very difficult hole, as none of our players are even really anywhere near the green, still looking at some upshots here, so it'll be interesting to see how they can recover from that.
And this is our next hole. Zoe's on hole 14. It's a big par 4. This is all about placement on that first drive, and Zoe looks happy with where her disc landed.
Yeah, Jen stepping up quickly and throwing, keeping it inbounds. It was a huge shot for Jennifer on that one.
Missy Gannon and taking her third shot now, lining it up. Not letting any of the other players play just yet. We'll see if she can get her upshot close to the basket here. That was a beautiful shot from Missy. Again, the water is only about 20 feet, 15 feet behind the basket. She had great distance on that. She was not scared of the water, and I'm glad she threw it far enough. You see a lot of players ending up short because they're scared of that water behind it.
Yeah, that is going to be a look for her 5 on this 13th hole. And this is the third hardest hole on the course at playing just over a half stroke over par, 405 feet. And we see that right there on the screen. Nice job, Johnny. And Evelina lining this upshot up. Oh, and that is going to be no good for her, leaving her well outside the circle on an elevated basket with OB behind. Probably looking at a bogey, but we will see.
See if she runs that.
And when you see a hole playing a half stroke over par, you know that pars are good on this hole.
Nice little floaty upshot by Jessica. She was in great position, nothing in her way. I'm glad she executed that great with her putter shot.
Yeah, I wish I saw so much more of those types of throws from these ladies. Nice little control putter shot. That was beautiful by Jessica. Paige having to go low, down on one knee, sliding it up, no problems there. About a 12 to 15 foot putt. Of course, it is elevated with water behind, so it might not be so easy.
This is so tough to have an elevated basket. Their putts, they're going to be aiming high, trying to get it up there. And so now you're just exposing your disc to the elements. And if you miss, there's water right there to catch you. So we'll see if these players, on the edge, we'll see if Evelina chooses to go for it or not. We're going to see if
my bet is that she lays it up.
Smart golf. She's still a young player. Evelina is 19 years old, so she's learned in her young time of playing disc golf. But she's a smart player. Great layup there. Very smart choice.
Yeah, and at only 19 years old, it's so awesome to see her so much in these lead groups. We didn't say it, but that was just an incredible save by Missy Gannon. Even though it is for double bogey, what a great shot for her.
Wow.
Yeah, a little speechless on that one. Just a little bit low left. I'm sure the water creeped into her mind. She did stay in bounds. Paige taking advantage of the misstep by Jessica. She is going to be now, if Jessica can put this in with a 4-stroke lead as opposed to a 3-stroke lead. Back and forth we go. These players just trying to figure it out.
Paige taking the only par on the hole. Jessica and Evelina carded bogeys while Missy got a 5. So let's take a look at the leaderboard. There we go. We see Rebecca Cox jumping right in as Missy drops down after that 5. There we go.
Yeah, I mean, Rebecca Cox, 3 under through 14 holes. I hope that she makes it onto this lead card tomorrow so that we can see her play. That is the lead card through 13 holes. We're going to head over to the 14th, which is a fairly long par 4. Let's take a look at this one here, Val.
And if you thought I was talking a lot before, this hole has a lot to talk about. Off the tee, it's going to be a layup shot, but it is 655 feet, par 4. There's a mando tree we're coming up to on our right. We've got OB on our left, right, and behind the basket, so completely circling it. From that mando tree, it's still about 250 feet to the basket. And this one's just all about maintaining those perfectly executed fairway drives, not getting a ton of skip, and putting yourself in good position. A par is really solid on this hole. We might see Paige going for a birdie, but it's such a tricky hole with so much OB surrounding the basket.
Yeah, outside chance. Outside chance for Zoe for birdie there. And yeah, that was a mouthful on this hole, but you needed all that because there is so much going on this. I think we will see some outside chances for birdies. This is a birdieable hole if you can keep it in the middle of the fairway. And, I think you mentioned the skip there. Really, this hole comes down to controlling the skip, understanding where to play it is a very dry part of the property.
Yes, and the first drive that you're going to throw is wide and outside, and they're trying to skip it back into the fairway. The second shot is a really straight up the gut type of drive. So that's when you really have to control that skip. Looks like we got a keen wall out there this year, so that might prevent some skips from going out of bounds, especially near the basket.
Yeah, you're right. That second shot is just such a laser straight shot. And when it's executed that way, and we're back here on the tee, Paige Pierce, a little wide, but enough stability, bringing it back in. Oh, and just hitting the little bush. That will bring that mandatory into play for her on her second shot.
Yep, she's not going to have that straight up the gut shot. You might have a little bit of a turnover shot that she's got to do, but we'll see when we step up to there. Looks to be that Jessica is also choosing the backhand route.
Boy, and I just love watching Jessica throw a backhand. They just come out with just this low pop. It's really nice to see that.
So much power. There's a slight pause in her reach back, but then all power, full steam ahead. I see that from Evelina too.
Yeah, I don't think there's any pause there. All power for Evelina, playing that skip shot that you were just alluding to. Nice shot.
Missy Gannon not playing it wide enough. Although it seems like a pretty routine hyzer shot, you do have the sidewalk on your right, and there's a bunch of light posts, so you have to get in between those and the tree that Missy just hit. But as these players walk up the fairway here, we're going to take a little second and take a little breather with a commercial break.
When I need to check the wind, I just let out my hair.
Disc golf is 90% mental. The other 10%, also mental.
If you want to make new friends on the course, pick up someone's disc in the fairway. By accident.
Stay getting birdies, my friends.
I can throw this disc around the world in one shot.
Never play disc golf too far into the jungle. There may be cheetahs.
Someone on your card can't recall if they threw a 6 or a 7. It was probably an 8.
See? Stay getting birdies, my friends.
We do thank Black Ink Disc for their support of the Disc Golf Pro Tour. Missy Gannon with her second shot, keeping it in bounds.
We can't see it, but there is the OB line on the left-hand side there before the keen wall starts. So you can hear Misty saying, sit, sit. So she was getting a little more skip than she wanted to. So she's going to be on the left-hand side of the fairway. I think that's actually a better angle for her third shot toward the basket. But as we step up to these shots, we saw Paige hit a tree. So she's on the right-hand side, going to have to maneuver around that Mando. But that big skip that you can get off the tee, like Jessica got, like Evelina got, they're in perfect position to look right at the basket down the fairway. We've got Evelina here. Doesn't look like she's up first, but maybe she is.
Yeah, I love these shots of the players. Just getting to see the sort of preparation that they're going through. She's already made her decision and almost instantaneously ready to play.
Great shot. That was a huge shot from her. She has a perfect birdie look right there. She put herself in a great position to execute that, so she nailed it.
She nailed it for sure, throwing it just like you said, laser straight, which was awesome to see, executing it and giving herself a birdie, which would take her to even par for the round and even par for the tournament. Early release for Jessica, hitting the tree that's only 80 feet in front of her, and she's just on the line for the inbounds or out of bounds call. We'll see what it ends up actually being, but a huge misstep there for Jessica.
Risky shot, taking that sidearm out of OB the whole time. She did not err on the right side, and yeah, that's a short shot and another stroke.
Yeah, big mistake for Jessica, as we're going to see Paige Pierce here with an almost impossible shot. I've been here just a few times in my career, and I know you have too, Val, but what's she looking at here?
A lot of tree branches. Well, it looked like she only had one choice, and it was to lay up into the fairway there. She wasn't trying to force anything to happen. We see her on another shot, looking back to see if she made the right choice. But with that Mando tree, you're forced to have an anhyzer, and she'll be looking at a good opportunity to save par from there.
Yeah, it was really unfortunate for her to hit that bush, and that's really all it left her with, was just that, an opportunity for par. And boy, that could have been a huge swing in the scores. And quick scoring update. Well, let's take a look here. She is inbounds, letting her competitor see it. So big break for Jessica, as that could have been a huge mistake throwing out of bounds there.
Yeah, I'm sure her heart was racing as she stepped up to that OB line. But yep, she had plenty of disc on the inbound side. And now she's lining up. She still can save her par here.
I'll say this, Val. I think she should have thrown that shot on her second one. We'd probably be talking about a birdie for her. Missy Gannon did skip out of bounds, really, with the short tee shot, OB off the second shot. This is brutal for Missy. Quick scoring update. Both Rebecca Cox and Sarah Hokum have birdied the 15th and 14th holes, respectively, bringing Rebecca's round of 4 under and Sarah's to 2 under for the day. This is just great to see some of these scores being able to move these players up the scoreboard.
Missy Gannon throwing 4 here. Throwing a putter like that, you have to put it on the right line. It's gonna fly straight, and so unfortunately she didn't get that hyzer back to the basket as she would want. So still a tester putt.
She is inside the circle, so it'll be okay for her, but you're right, it will be a little bit of a tester, especially for 5. Paige Pierce. Beautiful view from behind there of Paige Pierce, just leaving it a little bit out to the left side. Makeable putt for her for par.
Yeah, it's nice to see these ladies being able to throw putter shots like that. I just love to see just how smooth they can throw that. I mean, Jessica and Paige, they can really control a putter really well. And yeah, a lot of these shots out on this course, you don't see that a lot, but that shows the grace and beauty of these athletes. And it's just so fun to see. See a lot of big drives, big putts, but I just love the flight of a putter. That's Missy Gannon. We're a 5 on that. That is just a bogey on this par 4.
Yeah, you have that absolutely right, Val. And we see now Evelina stepping in. And that's for Evelina's birdie on this hole. Great job by Evelina getting back to even par for the round and for the tournament.
She really made that hole look easy. It looked like there was no OB on her fairway.
Yeah, I wonder if she's listening in on the coverage here, listening to the way you explained to play it, because she did that just perfectly. Paige Pierce, after that unfortunate hit early for par. Oh, and just skipping out of the basket on the right side, a little low right there. And all of a sudden, we see a one-stroke change there. Paige Pierce bogeying the 14th hole.
That was Jessica for par. And I just wanted to take note, as Paige was putting, you can see the elevated basket in the background, but this is a standard basket right here. So they felt like this hole was hard enough, and it definitely showed to be for this leader card. Except for Evelina, she was able to capitalize and get her birdie on it.
Yeah, Evelina played it the way she should. And now we see those scores. We do see our top 10 leaderboard here. And there is Rebecca Cox in 4th place, moving up 5 places at this point in time. You know, the ladies are going to have a little bit of a walk over here to the 15th hole. We should go ahead and take a look at that 15th hole.
We've got 4 holes left, so we are on the home stretch for sure. Hole 15, 450 feet. This is a par 4. Again, another women's tee. So these ladies are going to, I think, be throwing huge booming drives out here to clear the corner and then give themselves an opportunity and a clean look at the basket. You see, surrounded by some trees back there. We have OB on the left, a couple mandos to force players to play around the corner, around the right-hand side. And here we've got Zoe Ann Dyke putting on hole 15.
Yeah, and that's a great putt for Zoe, and that's a good sign our players are going to be clear as soon as they get to the tee. This is a big change. We haven't seen this change really before. I think a good one as well.
I think so too. From the longer tee, I don't know, actually. I think from the longer tee, it made 2 huge drives. It was all about the placement on big distance shots. So I do think that this gives the women a better opportunity for birdie. And we saw Zoe, that was a birdie putt for her. So it's giving some scoring separation, whereas maybe the players were just getting pars from that longer tee pad. So I think that's a good tee change.
Yeah,
here.
and something that has to be mentioned, and she's almost towards the end of her round on the 18th hole at this point, but Madison Walker, 3 under par, moving up 6 places, moving up the most places of any of the players on our top 10 leaderboard. So great job by Madison Walker. And if we look at the top 3 players, they're all at even par for the round. But then right below them in 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th, we see 4 under, 1 under, 2 under, and 3 under. So this course, while we do know that it's more difficult, these ladies are actually shooting better on it than they were out at Fountain Hills.
Yeah, that's really great to see. The holes are more difficult, a lot more par 4s. And so these ladies are getting birdies on those holes. So that means they're hitting their lines, they're staying in the fairway. And I think with these tee changes, that's giving them those opportunities for the birdie. And here we're on hole 15. Here's Evelina leading us off. And as we can see that shot skip up, there's the Mando tree in the distance. She's still a little inside, I believe, of where you actually want to be. I think you want to be a little bit farther off to the right just to give yourself some space from those trees.
Yeah, it all has to do with angle, the angle coming into the green at only 450 feet. This is gettable for all of our competitors on this lead card.
Huge shot from Jessica, and the farther you can get up the fairway, the easier that upshot's going to be, and I think Jessica just crushed it.
Yeah, I've been, ever since we talked about the course yesterday after our round, going through the course together, you and I, Val, I was excited to see Paige Pierce throw this hole. Really interested to see what she's able to do, again, at only 450 feet. And I got to see it finally. You could hear her immediately not happy with it, but it's going to leave her in an okay position to still make birdie on this short par 4.
Missy taking it out and wide, staying away from those Mando trees and any of the OB opportunities, but I think she's in a great position. That should be a nice, easy upshot for her.
Yeah, let's take a look at the chase card. Playing, this would be the 14th hole. And that's Katrina, our 5th place competitor, tied for 5th with Sarah Hokum.
Second shot, she's playing the hyzer here because it looks like she landed a little left on the left side of the fairway.
I honestly have never seen anybody do that, what she just did. She played from the left side, going all the way around those big eucalyptus trees, and unfortunately could not capitalize on that shot, missing that putt. That is just unfortunate. She really played the hole really well, just couldn't finish it off.
But that's just a par for her. Here we've got Zoe Andyke playing hole 15. Good placement for Zoe.
You know, something to be said about Zoe Andyke. We saw her on hole 8 take a triple bogey, and she's actually only 3 over for this round. So shooting even par for the rest of the round, keeping herself in position to still be a factor as far as the top 10 is concerned.
And we saw a great upshot by Zoe, and she was able to make that birdie putt. We see our players on the lead card in the picture-in-picture for a second.
Yeah, loving the picture-in-picture, getting to see as much disc golf as we can. Reno was not happy with that one there, but we're now back live with our lead card, Jessica Weiss.
Judging the distance perfectly. As you can see, those bike riders riding past just behind the basket is a sidewalk. So Jessica is within 15 feet of the basket, just behind, but perfect upshot there.
Great shot.
Enough said there. Great shot. Hearing that from Jessica Weiss about Evelina. Evelina was a little bit more inside, leaving her a few more trees to contend with, but handling it with no problems. That was a quick shot from our leader, Paige Pierce, sliding it in up there as well. So we're going to see some birdies on this hole. I can almost guarantee that. No question about it.
And I know Paige was really bummed with her release point on that, but to see where she landed, to see how clear her upshot was, I think that's a great shot. If I had the arm like Paige, I think I would be throwing that straight shot, not even worrying about trying to come around the corner because you had a nice clear upshot like that. So, uh, she was bummed, but she's looking at a birdie here.
Yeah, no doubt. We talked last night. That's exactly how the hole should be played. And Missy here with the furthest putt for birdie. But again, all of our competitors now putting for birdie. And, playing here in the Scottsdale area, there's always distractions. So it's a little reset for Missy.
Very nice recovery after a couple of bogey strokes before that in the previous holes. Gets her back on track with a birdie.
And how cool is this going to be, assuming that our players tap in a star frame for this lead card on the 15th hole? That's just awesome to see. And we can just see everybody staying in the same place, just moving one throw under par more, with Rebecca Cox through 16 holes at 4 under. Sarah Hokum in the same position. We're still waiting to see what Madison Walker does on that very challenging 18th hole. But let's head to the 16th hole for our lead card.
16th hole is 390 feet. And as we scan past, we're going to see a Mando tree on the left. So players like Jessica won't be taking the sidearm route, but the basket is placed on this extreme side hill. So players are going to want to get their drives as close as they can to the basket, land it nice and flat, because otherwise you have to contend with the OB sidewalk on the left. And with that side hill, if you don't land your disc as flat as you need to, you might pick up, skip, or roll to the out of bounds. And we see that quite often in the drives and in the putts. So this shot is all about accuracy.
Yeah, and I want everybody at home to remember these holes as we come down the stretch tomorrow for both our women and men's coverage, as we will have live coverage of both those final rounds, the championship rounds tomorrow. But yeah, hole 16 with that side hill, we've seen so many things happen on this green. It really, can just be one of those ones that can make or break a tournament for a player.
Here we are live on the tee box.
Now, interesting that you called out no sidearms, and Evelina, who we have not even seen throw a single sidearm off of the tee, throws one. So interesting choice from her, and I'm not sure if this is a different tee than the men will be playing.
It looks like the tee is facing in a different direction. And I've never had that trash can in my view. But I don't believe it is different. I'm just laughing at Johnny V in my ear. But Jessica takes the sidearm route as well.
Me and you.
I think it's a great play.
Yeah, and I mean, we know the course so well. This is a completely different tee pad. And just looking at the caddy book, the men will also be playing this. So interesting change for the tournament here to just bring it more of a side hill shot. This actually brings the side hill a lot more into play. As you can see, our players are playing along the side hill. And this is just a beautiful drive by Paige Pierce.
I think this is it makes the drive a little bit easier than the previous position where I think it was more left. So it's a straighter drive than we've seen in the past.
Yeah, we'll let this drive fly. And that's going to be an OB shot for Missy Gannon, unfortunately. And there it goes across, hitting that wall. That's our first look at the 18th fairway. There on the right, there's just that wall that's going to help our players on the 18th keep it inbounds. We're going to see a new 18th hole. We're going to take a little bit of a break here. We'll come back and finish this 16th hole up.
For me, it's time with my friends.
For me, it's a walk in the park.
For me, it's my job.
For me, it's fun.
And thank you to the PDGA of the support of the Disc Golf Pro Tour. We're here on the 16th hole as the players walk up the fairway. And really, there's so much that can happen on these last 3 holes, Val. Why don't you talk just a little bit about what the possibilities can be coming down these 3 finishing holes?
So we saw only one player on this card go out of bounds on this hole, but the next 2 holes, they can make or break you. The next hole is a very short birdieable hole, but if you fluff it, you can go out of bounds. Hole 18 is so treacherous. This is a new hole for us, so I'm really excited to see how these ladies play, but it could be huge swings and scores. Haven't seen anything too dramatic pop up just yet, but when the pressure is on, I think these last 3 holes are really going to make these players tense. Missy Gannon, she's got this pine tree in her way, so this is going to make this upshot really difficult.
And as a scoring update, Madison Walker has parred the 18th hole in the clubhouse with a 3-under par. That's our low round of the day. In at this point, we still have Rebecca Cox at 4 under playing that 18th hole. And I think, as you said, Val, of course, today's moving day. We haven't seen too much movement of the top players, but we've had some new players join the leaderboard, and just a layup there for Jessica. But yeah, there's a lot of things that can happen in these last 3 holes, and seeing yet again another elevated basket.
Wow. Elevated basket on this one really makes it tough. Got to make sure this upshot gets really close. You've already got the elevation to deal with being on a side hill right there. Missy Gannon's going to be looking straight up. She's at the bottom of the hill with her upshot, her 3rd shot after going OB off the tee. But now that is an extreme angle she's going to have to try and putt from.
Yeah, we can see our view here at this point. We're at least, I don't know, I would say maybe 20 feet above their heads right now, as our lead car is just letting the competitors from the 18th hole play their shots as they're going to move into position. We can just see Paige Pierce's drive stayed inbounds by just a few feet.
And as you said, they're waiting for the players on the 18th green. Look at how narrow that green is between the sidewalk and the water. It's a really good viewpoint right now. Paige Pierce is outside the circle here. It'll be interesting if she runs at this. And she does, and spectators are saying no roll, because that is what happens on this. But thankfully, Paige did not roll too far from the basket there.
Very fortunate. Good putt there by Paige Pierce, getting her par, staying at 4 under par for the tournament, 1 under par for this 3rd round. Missy Gannon, this is for 4, which would be a bogey on this par 3.
Great putt, and this is a great view, seeing how extreme that angle really was for Missy. It's a nice putt. I know, I believe that was a bogey. See it pop up.
Bogey for who?
Missy?
Yeah, that was a bogey for Missy. We just talked about it. Val Jenkins, we need Val to keep a scorecard with her. That's a par for Evelina. And we'll see our top 10 scorecard here. And you can see there Madison Walker in the 7th position in the clubhouse at 4 over par for the tournament, shooting a 3 under for this round. Again, Rebecca and Sarah on the 18th hole. Let's quickly move over to the 17th hole. Val, tell us about this one and how tricky it can be.
Hole 17 is only 243 feet. This is a birdie opportunity for these ladies, but you can see the sidewalk on the left, and it's just to the left and beyond on the basket here. OB surrounding it. Looks like another elevated basket here, Nate, but players will be throwing a putter off of this, just hoping to land near and close to the basket. And another elevated basket on a sloped green already, just adding such another element of surprise out on this course. And even though I said it's a birdie hole, it's going to make it a little bit more challenging to get a birdie on this one this year.
Yeah, and our cameramen are just getting into position, and we see Evelina throwing a sidearm on this hole, using that hill. Crowd loves it. So does she. She's going to have a birdie opportunity on this 17th hole. And really, you know, it's all three of the players here, Paige Pierce, Jessica Weiss, Evelina Salonen, are all at 1 under par for the round. So I think the course is playing quite well for these ladies. Picture in picture, seeing Jessica's reaction as well as the landing. Not loving it as much as she would have at the bottom of the hill.
And I'm seeing right now at the bottom of the hill, there is that wall. So if players do catch the side hill and roll, they will be saved by that wall. So that's different. That's new. That's nice. I wish I had that.
That's hot. That's real hot.
I will tell you that is very fortunate for Paige. She landed on a little upslope that's right by the pin that's created by all the normal play on this course, keeping her inbounds. Otherwise, she would have been out of bounds there.
Slide up there.
Nice smooth throw from Missy. She's real happy with it. I love that reaction cam in the corner there. And yeah, all these ladies kind of flawless now. Nobody went out of bounds here. And we've got the chase card on this hole, so let's see how they did. There we go. This is a great viewpoint. This is what we want to see to really see how these ladies are hitting their lines. That's how I would have played this hole. I wish I could park it as many times as these ladies are. Zoe Ann Dyke, birdie putt here.
And just a little too floaty there. Jennifer Allen making that putt. Zoe with a par. Couple of birdies here for Maria and Katrina. And we can just see now Katrina Allen on this 18th tee pad. We're going to just go back to Jessica. As you can see the perspective of how far up above her head that basket is.
Thank you.
And only Jessica and Katrina are only about 30 feet away from each other. This last finishing area is very tight.
She gave it a slight run, but I'm glad she's laid up close to that basket. We don't need to risk hitting the basket and rolling back to where she's putting from to begin with. Missy Gannon for her birdie putt. Level with the basket here.
Nice putt.
Beautiful putt there for Missy Gannon. That's a birdie. We're going to see birdies from our two other competitors in this group as well. Jessica with a lone par of the group. And again, Jessica won't be too happy with that as, this is a really pretty easy hole, especially with the conditions as they are, and Evelina just tapping in there as well. And we'll go ahead and see the top 10 leaderboard, and we now can see that Sarah Holcomb has bogeyed the 18th hole. Still a very respectable 2 under par, moving up 3 positions into that 6th place position. We're still waiting for Rebecca's score to come across from that 18th hole. But now we have our last 8 ladies all on the 17th hole. So we'll get to see, or on the 18th hole, we'll get to see them all play the 18th hole. This is going to be really pretty exciting. And we can see, unfortunately, Rebecca Cox has double bogeyed that 18th hole. So still a great round for her, but she had that opportunity to go real low.
Let's take a look at the 18th hole. This is a new one this year. This is a regular hole on the course, but as you can see, there's so much water. Players are going to be playing over the water. This hole is just over 400 feet. If you're going to miss, you got to make sure you're clearing land. But you see there's a sidewalk on the left-hand side of the fairway, but this is just a landing strip of a fairway. There's not much. Looks like another elevated basket, though. So we're going to see these players, I think, just trying to throw it as far as they can, get as close to the basket as they can. Most people, I think, are risking going out of bounds, but if you get it far enough next to the basket, you can get your circle 3.
Yeah, this is a massive change for this tournament, finishing on this hole. This is a hole that all of these players will not have seen ever before in their career. And we talked about how they know the courses so much. Of course, me and you have played it, but that's why we're in the booth now and not still out on the course. But yeah, this 18th hole, it just brings in a whole new level of, and at 400 feet, really, I think for these ladies, it's really now a 2-shot hole. And later we'll see how the men attack it, but there's just so much that can happen.
Yeah, and I was looking at the course last night, doing a little recon, checking out what layout these ladies are playing this weekend, and you should have heard me groan when I knew that this hole was back. I just remember playing this hole in the tournament. We actually played this last year when we went out to Phoenix earlier in February, but it's just a hole. There's so much OB on it. So you kind of have to expect that you're going to go out of bounds because it's really difficult to land in that landing strip like I'm talking about. So I asked Paige Pierce what her game plan was on this hole, and she's saying just like I'm saying, but she says 18 is easy. She says just crush one at the basket. If it goes out of bounds, you're still close for your 3. So I think a lot of these players are going to be playing with that same kind of strategy. And if you're going to miss the fairway and you're going to go out of bounds, you want to go left so that you can take your next shot from close to the basket. Otherwise, you're basically re-teeing.
Yeah, and it's one of those things that I had played this hole in my mind ever since we heard about it yesterday. And it's actually a little bit different than I originally anticipated. They made this hole just a little bit further. And actually where the tee pad's located, it's not so bad for these ladies to play in bounds. So now that I'm seeing it in person, it's interesting to see how Paige Pierce is deciding to play this hole, because at 401 feet, it's really within her range to reach. For all these other players, the decision is made before they even tee off. They can't throw 400 feet. And it must be mentioned that this is the hardest hole on the course, playing 1.21 over par. That is just an incredible number as we see those stats for this 18th hole.
Yeah, we can see players right here. Zoe Ann Dyke was able to lay up. Maria was able to lay up. And there's not a lot of trees in the first half of this hole, but then as you can see from this view right here, this is perfect. Tons of trees blocking the height. So she might have to do an over the water shot. But there's lots of options, lots of routes she can take. Whatever she's going to do, she needs to get close to that basket.
Yeah, and this is similar to a shot we saw her throw on hole 4 yesterday at Fountain Hills, and she pulled it a little wide. And this time she's leaving it inside, giving herself a putt for par, nice and safe. And really that wall is one of those other things that helps quite a bit, as we'll see Jennifer Allen throwing basically the same shot here in just a second, but that wall helps a lot.
It does.
There's really there's none to speak of at this
No.
point. So, really, it's just a mind over matter type of situation.
Exactly. And finishing up on a hole like this, we can see, I don't think that the wall saved Katrina here, the way she's marking it.
But you can see from this angle how many trees and things are in the way. Again, come tomorrow at this point, we will be seeing a crowd buzzing around this area, creating a stadium for our players. And we can see that Katrina did have to pick her disc up from out of bounds. So taking it a little bit too safe, going a little bit too far left. And I just think there's so many ways to play this hole. And again, I think the way that they've laid it out was really sort of spot on. I was concerned when I saw it on the caddy book, but I'm liking the way that it is laid out and designed.
Hear the alarms in the background. Could have been slightly distracting for Maria's putt. But yeah, like you said, there's lots of ways to attack this hole. And I don't think it's going to be too much of a score swing on this hole, as long as you can err on the side of crossing any part of the fairway, as long as you're not continually throwing OB off the tee and you're able to get distance up the fairway, you should be all right.
And we just see our second card now finishing up, which means there's only 4 players left on the course in this third round. So we're about to see our leaders go ahead and attempt to play this hole. And we still saw some big scores on this 18th hole by our chase card. So really looking forward to this hole, brand new hole for the 2019 Memorial Championship. Again, we are in third round live coverage. We've played 17 holes. Paige Pierce in the lead by 3 at 5 under par over Evelina, who has really made a good push here at the end of this round.
Yeah, this is great to see.
And we're going to go with a listen in on this team. We want to hear what these ladies have to say as they throw their shot. So enjoy this perspective.
Hey, cut me a mouth. Never gonna work.
Don't hit it.
And that was the live listen in as we got to hear our players' reactions. And Val, we can really only react at this point about Paige Pierce. She essentially has to rethrow as long as the rules are not, I wonder if there's a drop zone for her, but it does not look like she's going to choose to re-tee on this hole.
Exactly. She can move up a couple feet, but you might as well use the tee pad. Throwing 3 from the tee, Paige Pierce.
And unfortunately going to make the same mistake. And, it's funny hearing her say that this hole was easy, quickly grabbing another disc. And throwing a beautiful shot there. Unfortunately, that was her 5th throw. And we're going to take a quick break and react to that, and we'll get right back to you.
Oh, hey, are you guys looking for a disc that flies pretty straight? I would recommend the Avenger SS. I really like this disc because it's a nice straight fairway driver. What I would recommend for anybody looking for a nice straight drive is a disc that's slightly understable, where you can throw it out at a hyzer flip, let it fly, but it's still gonna come back. If you try and throw anything that's overstable, you're gonna have to crank it too hard, and now you're going against that whole straight flight that you're looking for. So if you're looking for that nice straight driver right out of the box, give the Avenger SS a try.
And there we are, Valerie Jenkins, our commentator, as well as a sponsored player by Discraft. Thank you to Discraft for the sponsorship of this event and the tour. Val, coming back now to live action. We're going to see Missy Gannon throwing here, but boy, what's our reaction here from Paige Pierce's 2 drives that she threw out of bounds?
Excuse me while I take my foot out of my mouth. I didn't think we were going to see such a huge score swing on this one. Paige had a game plan. She stuck to it. She threw it twice out of bounds from the tee pad, readjusted on that last one, but she does have the ability to reach this basket. And so, yeah, you see she's going for it. She's gunning for it, and unfortunately wasn't able to execute her game plan.
Yeah, and right now we're going to see Evelina lining up. She's in the perfect position to play this 18th hole and get it in par. A little bit of a nervous shot there, leaving it short. That's not a guaranteed par at this point, but with Paige Pierce lying 5 at this point, throwing 6, at best she can make a triple bogey.
Yep, I think this is really closing in the gap here, allowing the field to catch up to what has seen incredible play today. And an unfortunate bad hole.
Yeah,
finish.
And I just quickly do want to say that I do think this was a good design of this hole because it brought this into play for a player like Paige Pierce. Paige making a run at that putt. That putt would have been 4-6, I believe, and so she's going to be putting 4-7, which is a quadruple bogey. And that's going to just bring everybody, well, not everybody, I guess just Evelina and Jessica back into the picture at this point, heading into tomorrow.
Evelina putting for 3. That was huge. That was a huge score swing right there. No pressure, it didn't seem, on that putt. Quickly stepped up to it, slammed it in the center of the chains, and she just grabbed a few strokes on competitor and leader Paige Pierce.
Yeah, and leader no longer. This is Paige Pierce for a 7 on the 18th hole. Barely staying in high left. That's going to be a 2 over par finish for her. And Evelina Salonen is our new leader of the tournament. Paige Pierce dropping all the way back to 1 under par for the tournament. This is Missy for her par. Great putt there by Missy, with finishing with a, let's see, we just dropped down here just a little bit, with a 3 over par for her. Jessica Weiss tapping in her par putt, shooting a 1 under. So this group here, we had a 2 under by Evelina, a 1 under by Jessica Weiss, a 2 over by Paige Pierce and a 3 over by Missy Gannon. Overall, really great action, Val, and we'll eventually see it come back to the booth here to react to this. And, you know, it'll be interesting to see how Paige Pierce handles this going into tomorrow. I think what's even more interesting is to see Evelina Salonen in the lead. So let's get a little bit of a reaction from you of what we saw today and what we're going to look going into Championship Sunday.
You never want to see a player do that on the final hole after playing so well. So it kind of makes me feel sick. Evelina has shot so great, and so I don't want to take that glory away from her, but she was able to play such solid golf, make that putt under pressure. So we see her jump to the top of the scoreboard after just one hole. One hole changed it all. And I didn't think that was going to be the hole, but clearly it was. Paige getting a 7 on that really changed things up, but it's going to still make that tight race going into the final round, which is so exciting. It's what you want to see, but unfortunately, what Paige just did on the 18th hole is not what we want to see. She's going to bounce right back. I know it. And it's going to be such a fun round tomorrow to see these ladies getting some revenge on some of these holes out here, but still a close race right now.
Yeah, absolutely. And we'll see that group tomorrow. It should be Evelina Salonen with your lead at 200 par, Jessica Weiss, Paige Pierce tied at 1 under. And we should get to see Rebecca Cox at this point. It should lay out just as we see on our UDisc Live app. So we should see that group tomorrow. And boy, you know, just at 3 hours and 31 minutes since the start of that round, we're looking forward to Championship Sunday for these ladies. So that was live third round coverage of the 2019 Memorial Championship presented by Discraft. That was our FPO card. We look forward to seeing you later this afternoon to see those men play. So come back, go play some disc golf, go enjoy your middle of your day. It is Saturday. Come back, watch us live. But wow, I can't say enough what we just saw this morning, and I hope we see a little bit more of that this afternoon. So thanks everybody for joining. I'm Nate Doss. That's Valerie Jenkins. We will see you later today for more live coverage.